Rubio goes to Capitol Hill this morning for a Senate hearing into the U.S. operation in Venezuela that captured leader Nicolas Maduro, who is now jailed in New York on narco-terrorism and drug charges. Rubio, in his opening statement, plans to tell senators that Venezuela must cooperate with the U.S. and we're prepared to use force if other methods fail. Now, off the Venezuelan coast for months before the operation, the U.S. military blew up suspected drug smuggling boats. 7 oil tankers have also been seized. A House hearing focused on the Coast Guard.
Committee members praised the Coast Guard's hybrid role as both a law enforcement and defense agency. Coast Guard Rear Admiral David Barada says the branch set records last year for drug seizures.
Removing more than 500,000 pounds of cocaine and denying criminal networks access to over $3.4 billion in revenue.
But Heather McLeod of the Government Accountability Office says the Coast Guard faces challenges concerning equipment and personnel.
Staffing gaps, particularly in specialized units like tactical law enforcement teams, can hinder drug interdiction and other law enforcement missions.
The Coast Guard did surpass its recruiting goal last year. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
5 suspects are due in an Indiana court today, facing charges in the shooting of a judge, Stephen Meyer, and his wife in their home earlier this month.
Prosecutors say the goal was to scuttle a domestic abuse case against Thomas Moss, a member of a motorcycle club with ties to a street gang whose trial was scheduled to begin 2 days after the shooting, with Judge Meyer presiding.
As Fox's Lisa Brady, Moss is one of the 5 charged. The Federal Reserve will wrap up a 2-day meeting with an interest rate announcement. It's expected that there will be no rate cut this time after 3 reductions last year. On Wall Street, ahead of that, stock futures are rising after a really mixed day. The Dow dropped 408 points, but the Nasdaq rose 215. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Have you ever engaged in conversation about your faith with a family member, a friend, or a colleague, and when challenged on an intellectual level about why you believe what you believe, you've been at a loss for a reasoned answer? The Missing Think, a treatise on origin, purpose, and God by Mark A. Vogel, was written for you, particularly if you don't have a lot of time to sit down and read a lengthy book. A short read, it'll provide you with some thoughtful insight with which to challenge the skeptics in your life with effective and practical, critical thinking. It may even strengthen your own faith in God. Seen through the eyes of an inventor and product development engineer, The Missing Think draws analogies to the wonders of the world around us and connects dots to some profound practical and historical evidence for the truth of Christianity. The book is available for download by visiting Amazon.com and searching The Missing Think, Mark A. Vogel. That's Mark, the letter A, V-O-G-E-L. Again, to purchase your copy, go to Amazon.com and in the search box, type The Missing Think, Mark A. Vogel.
Wealth Health Radio.
The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
Make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
The most beautiful time of year is upon us, tax season. And TaxSlayer is here to help you file with 100% accuracy for your maximum refund. Guaranteed. TaxSlayer even has support from real US-based humans if you have any questions along the way. File your federal return by February 8th for $22.99, and I'll help you get the refund you deserve. Take it from me, a talking calculator speaking to you through the speakers of wherever you are. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to those Benjamins. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Golfers, the Tinley Park Golf Show's coming January 30th through February 1st to the Tinley Park Convention Center. This isn't just another expo. It's 3 days packed with everything you need to elevate your game. Meet vendors from the industry's biggest names: Callaway, TaylorMade, Cobra, Mizuno, and more. Get professionally fitted for clubs, check out the latest equipment, and take advantage of exclusive deals you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. Compete in our skills challenges. Guess your best drive and longest putt. Winners receive cash prizes prizes of $1,000. Watch the Pebble Beach Pro-Am while enjoying drinks at our famous 19th Hole Bar and Lounge. And don't miss our interactive driving range demo. In celebration of the 250th anniversary of our nation's independence, all veterans and active duty military will be granted complimentary admission to this year's show. Tickets start at just $10 on Friday, $15 for Saturday and Sunday, and can be purchased at Eventbrite or TinleyParkConventionCenter.net. The Tinley Park Golf Show. Great golf, great deals. January 30th through February 1st.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
At AM 560, The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
It's January 28th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. It's National Kazoo Day, a day meant to celebrate the more than 200-year contribution of the world's most democratic instrument. Invented in the mid-1840s by American Alabama Vest and built by German clockmaker Thaddeus von Klieg. You can also check out the history of the kazoo at the official factory and museum located in Eden, New York. Also on this date, in 1914, the city of Beverly Hills, California was incorporated by a group of failed oil investors. Today, it's synonymous with wealth and luxury. And in 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded 73 seconds after takeoff, killing all 7 crew members on board, including Christy McAuliffe, who would have been the first teacher in space. If it's your birthday today, you share it with singer Joey Fatone of NSYNC, born in 1977, and actor Elijah Wood, born in 1981. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Stay tuned for a special message from Angel Dad Joe Abraham about his daughter Katie.
Put yourself in my shoes. I just spent my first Christmas without Katie. My daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant Governor Pritzker protected. Imagine her final breaths, knowing that you would have given your life for hers, but you didn't have the chance. Put your child in Katie's shoes. Think of the unfulfilled dreams, the unrealized joys, and the permanent loss. I'm not a political guy, but when politicians unleash violent criminals, we all need to get involved. We can do better, and we must do better. Ted Dabrowski would have protected Katie, and he'll protect your children the way I wish someone had protected mine.
I'm Ted Dabrowski, and I approve this message.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax. They know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Attention all listeners, financial planners, CPA, and divorce attorneys. In 2021, there were over 420,000 licensed loan originators. Today, that number is down to 93,000. That's a reduction of over 75% of licensed loan officers within the past 4 years. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender who's still in business. While mortgage companies have been closing and hundreds of thousands of loan officers have left the business since 2021, Team Hochberg has expanded and is stronger than ever and would love to earn your business. Let's review. Hundreds of mortgage companies have closed down and over 327,000 loan officers exited the mortgage business, while Team Hochberg has expanded and is stronger than ever. If you'd like to work with experienced mortgage professionals who'll appreciate your business, call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing a lawyer, but getting some guy who just watches courtroom dramas.
How does the defendant plead?
Guilty. Wait, what? Also, objection.
You object to what?
Erroneous.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Hey, can I get a whack at the gavel?
You wouldn't settle for just any lawyer, so don't settle for just any insurance. Get the real deal with State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Save on appliances at the Home Depot with up to $1,000 off, plus up to an extra $500 off select appliances like Whirlpool that can keep up with your busy routine. The Home Depot has Whirlpool laundry appliances with Fan Fresh. This feature fans and tumbles your laundry after it's done to help keep your clothes fresh until you're ready to grab them. Shop now and get up to $1,000 off, plus free delivery on select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $999 or more. Offer valid January 8th through the 28th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
The fight against sexual exploitation begins at home. Sexual exploitation is no longer a distant issue. It's happening here in our communities, schools, and even our homes. Every day, millions of Americans are targeted and trapped through manipulation, coercion, and deception. Sexploited in America, The Invisible War is a powerful docuseries exposing the hidden systems and cultural blind spots that allow exploitation to thrive, and gives a voice to the survivors and families forever changed by it. Raw, unfiltered, deeply human, these stories reveal both the devastating realities of exploitation and the extraordinary courage of those who refuse to be silenced. Sexploited in America, the docuseries is presented by AGA Media and available to everyone now at salemnow.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's Joint Arthritis Treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate, it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 five-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
The fight against sexual exploitation begins at home. Sexual exploitation is no longer a distant issue. It's happening here in our communities, schools, and even our homes. Every day, millions of Americans are targeted and trapped through manipulation, coercion, and deception. Sexploited in America, The Invisible War is a powerful docuseries exposing the hidden systems and cultural blind spots that allow exploitation to thrive, and gives a voice to the survivors and families forever changed by it. Raw, unfiltered, deeply human, these stories reveal both the devastating realities of exploitation and the extraordinary courage of those who refuse to be silenced. Sexploited in America, the docuseries is presented by AGA Media and available to everyone now at salemnow.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with frigid temperatures dropping to a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. On Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Trump was here in the Midwest yesterday in Iowa trying to turn attention back to the topic of affordability and stopping by in a diner. Just happened to be in the neighborhood. Trump had much to say. Of course, he was queried about the chaos in Minnesota, including the shooting death of Alex Preedy. And Will Cain from Fox was on site to do an interview of the president on these various issues. Here's what Trump had to say about the Preedy shooting. And of course, from my perspective, that's the one I have to offer on this show, mine. It's a mixed bag. And the messaging from the Trump administration since Saturday has been terribly muddled. And I don't know why professional comms people can't get together and murder board the response a little bit and come up with something that is succinct and put out the playlist and make sure that administration officials are using it. I don't know why that's so difficult, because this is exactly what the president shouldn't have said.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preedy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Right. Everyone, unless you're a stupid person. Very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
So legally possessing a gun and a couple of magazines, legally carrying a gun and a couple of magazines. And please, let's not get sidetracked with whether or not he had ID on him. That may or may not be an issue. I don't know if he did or not. There's some reporting suggesting he didn't, and you're supposed to have your ID on you when you carry, otherwise you're in violation of the carrier restrictions. I understand. But there's a more fundamental issue, obviously, here. So this is a repeat of what we've heard from Bessent, Noem, and Patel over the last several days, since Saturday. And it's the sort of thing that a populist would say, rather than somebody operating from a foundation of principle and, frankly, knowledge. The issue is what Preedy chose to do while he was previously exercising both his First and Second Amendment rights. It wasn't the exercise of his First or Second Amendment rights that was the problem. It was his interfering with a law enforcement officer. It was his assaulting a law enforcement officer. It was his resisting arrest. That's it. But instead, you want a demagogue that he is something that there's no evidence to suggest that he is. Although I hesitate, and I'll get to that. Because he had a gun. Possessing a gun makes you violent. No. And Bessent was wrong, and Trump was wrong, and Patel was wrong, and Noem was wrong. And the other thing he should have said is that with respect to characterizations of him as a domestic terrorist, that he was looking to kill officers, in addition to the overheated rush to assess Renee Good, those were mistakes. I know Trump doesn't make mistakes, but maybe he can bring himself to admit that some administration officials did. You can say you still have confidence in Kristi Noem, which he said yesterday. But, we have to be careful about the things that we say about people before we have all the facts. And sometimes, we fall into the trap of not being so careful because things are so heated and there is so much unfairness being directed towards the administration and towards federal law enforcement officers. A little bit of balance, a little bit of recognition what is, a little bit of recognition of the misstatements that were made, and not compounding those misstatements with more of the same misstatements like the one he just made about guns. 312-642-5600 is the Chicago Morning Answer call-in and text line. That said, and the characterizations that he is pulling back in Minnesota because of pulling Noem and Bovino out effectively and putting Homan in, that's not what he calls it. Don't call it a pullback. Don't call it a retreat.
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you make little changes. Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here. But you have to understand, when I watch some of the people that I've been watching over the last few weeks, these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. These people aren't normal, like OG, that, they're incensed about anything. How do you get incensed when you go into a state and you're taking criminals out? You're taking monsters out, murderers. We had 11,888 murderers let into our country by other countries, by Biden with his open border stupid policy. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So the operation will continue. I don't think Tom Homan is there just to hold press conferences. So I think Tom Homan is there to be the general for the field troops, if you will, the ICE agents. So that's what I suspect is happening, too. He's trying to turn down the temperature and perhaps remove some of the figures that have drawn particular animus. Not that Tom Homan hasn't drawn the same animus. I think he has more wherewithal intellectually and professionally in this space than Noem and even Bovino. Text from 815. Resisting the police while having a firearm on you is stupid. No kidding. That's the point I just made, isn't it? Stop running interference for people that are speaking recklessly about people's Second Amendment rights. I don't understand why conservatives do that. I mean, I do, because there's some sort of knee-jerk MAGA tendency. They're speaking incorrectly if you believe in an individual's God-given right to protect themselves. So the firearm didn't make him resist arrest. He chose to resist arrest. He had a firearm, and that exacerbated the situation. But it has nothing to do with his exercise of Second Amendment, bringing a gun to a protest. Okay? Focus on the main thing. Make the main thing the main thing, if I could borrow from FedEx's Fred Smith here. And on Noem, Trump said this.
Do you still have confidence in DHS Secretary Kristi Noem? You brought up the success at the border.
Look,
you do.
She was there with the border. Who closed up the border? She did, with Tom Homan, with the whole group. I mean, they closed up the border. The border is a tremendous success, one of the most secure borders in the entire world. We were a laughingstock 1.5 years ago for the whole world. The whole world laughed at us. I had friends that said, is that real? They'd look at a picture. You've been down to the border. They'd look at a picture of the border with hundreds of thousands of people pouring in like it was water. And they said, is that really taken? They can't believe it. They think it's one of these crazy movies that they make.
Well, we'll see. Sometimes when a president says, I have complete confidence in this person, that's the beginning of the end. I would say that it's less likely to be the beginning of the end for Kristi Noem, in part because of the rest of what Trump said there. Also in part because to sack Kristi Noem now is to deliver a scalp to the other side, with them running around calling for her to resign, calling for her impeachment. Articles of impeachment will be filed calling for her to be in prison. Well, of course, the left wants to imprison everybody that disagrees with them. I understand that. Tom in Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I think I agree with you that I wish they would all get together, the administration, sit down in a room and come up with a response to these type of things. So they sound intelligent. I voted for Trump. I like the guy, but I agree. So, yeah, no, I agree. The only thing my question is, this whole thing is, the gentleman had a concealed carry license. Fine. I don't have one, but I do own a weapon. I just wonder what his decision process was. I'm going to bring my gun legally to a possibly riot, which these things turn into, knowing that there could be a problem. Now, did he think he was bringing it so he could defend himself if there was a problem? I personally would just anticipate there's going to be a problem. I don't know that I would show up to one of these things with my gun. But, I mean, he did, and I think that's the problem I have. Like, why would you do that?
Well, right. Thanks for the call, Tom. Here's what I would say about in text from 815. He also said, texted the same guy who said, resisting the police while having a firearm on you is stupid. Of course. But he also said, you need to announce to the officer you have it on you. That would have de-escalated things right there. No, I agree with that as well. You know, I've been, like, in Illinois, pulled over for a traffic stop, for speeding. I have a tendency to do that. And, in addition to having hands at 10 and 2 on the wheel, I also say, I am a CCW holder and there is a gun in the car, if there is. Just to, full disclosure to the officer, make sure everybody understands I'm the officer. I'm not a threat. I'm not trying to do anything, that kind of. So 100% right. That's right. And there's this other element, too. CNN reporting yesterday that a week before Alex Pretty's shooting death, he had another run-in with ICE. Now, this is their characterization of what they understand occurred. You understand the point they're trying to make, but this story goes both ways. Take a listen.
Now, in this earlier incident, he stopped his car after observing ICE agents chasing what he described as a family on foot and began shouting and blowing his whistle. Pretty later told one of these sources that 5 agents tackled him and one leaned on his back, appearing to leave him with a broken rib. According to this source, and I'm quoting here, that source said, quote, that day he thought he was going to die. Now, Pretty was later given medication that is consistent with treating a broken rib, according to records reviewed by CNN. Sources also say that he was known to federal law enforcement, though it's unclear whether it was this incident or another with federal agents that they knew him, they knew of him. It's also unclear whether the officers who tackled him on Saturday knew who he was.
So, their insinuation is, this was targeted. There's bad blood. I mean, that's essentially what they're trying to intimate without saying it explicitly. But, of course, that goes the other way, too. It suggests, well, he had a physical confrontation with ICE the week before. So is this guy somebody who is prone to attempt to get physical with ICE, to violate the law by assaulting an officer, intervening in a law enforcement operation? That's an interesting note. Now, at the end of the day, it's still the choice that he made on the day in question. Ken in Plainfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, I wish that people would take the focus off the Second Amendment, which, liberals hated up till now. Even though you keep putting me in Plainfield, I've been in Minnesota for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
I do have a concealed carry permit, and the rules are pretty clear and simple what you're supposed to do, including the duty to retreat, the duty not to interfere. So it's not the fact that he had a concealed carry; it's the fact that of his actions afterwards.
Correct,
and cannot argue with the liberal.
Well, yeah. And a question for you: Do you need your? Because there's some variance state to state in these laws governing right to carry. Do you need to have ID on you when you're carrying?
Yes, you do.
In Minnesota, you do.
If you don't have your ID, It's misdemeanor with like a small, like a nominal fine of like $25.
Yeah, right.
Even
right.
that, again, it's the actions afterward. You know, it's not
right.
having the concealed carry and being legal there, he's fine if he follows the law. But when you interfere with the cops, you're taking that risk, especially if they know you have a gun. Because no matter what they say, and I don't think it was a good shoot. I've said before, I'm a truck driver. I'm pretty anti-cop. So I think they maybe could have not shot him, but I'm not there. I'm not in that 25 second.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for the call, Ken. We'll have a little bit more comment and take some of your calls and texts if you want to chime in after the news here in terms of the shooting itself, because there's been an initial report out. We understand this is the reporting. 2 of the officers that were trying to detain Mr. Preddy open fire. It wasn't all of them. It was 2 of them and so forth. So just a couple of more comments, and then we'll broaden the discussion. We'll do that at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 3 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Park Forest man has been sentenced to 48 years in federal prison for sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of child pornography. Prosecutors say 35-year-old Turcalo E. Thomas enticed, persuaded, and used a prepubescent minor to engage in illegal sexual conduct. Thomas allegedly recorded that conduct and trafficked the images as a barter to collect more than 1,500 images of child sex material. The Illinois State Treasurer's Office is holding an online auction of unclaimed property through February 1st. Available items include a 1918 Centennial Lincoln $50 and collectible cards featuring Sports Hall of Famers like Michael Jordan. A total of 150 lots will be auctioned from the online catalog that can be seen at hibid.com. This report is sponsored by Supershore. Do you own a small business? Then you need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. The seismic shift is coming. Super sure, coming soon.
I'm Jeannie Ives. And I'm Amy Jacobson. Join us for The Real Story beginning Monday, February 2nd from 11 to noon, Monday through Friday. We'll bring you the real information from Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. We'll expose the lies and misinformation from the politicians and the media. Listen to us on the station or online at 560theanswer.com. You can watch us live on Breakthrough Ideas Facebook page or Breakthrough Ideas YouTube channel. The Real Story begins on Monday, February 2nd at 11 a.m.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
A voice for the new right, charting a new path forward for American conservatism. It's the Josh Hammer Show, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
Is this going to explode into 2020? For a while, it looked like that was not going to be the case. Increasingly, I am less confident. They're not stopping. They are being aided and abetted by willful idiot, neo-Confederate insurrectionist politicians like the coward in the Twin Cities, Tim Walz.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. Friday will bring intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress, and AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Picking up our discussion on the Alex Preddy shooting with the new information available, this preliminary report that has been sent to Congress from the Customs and Border Patrol. One thing here, I keep saying, and a lot of us do, that ICE it was ICE officers involved in the Preddy shooting. It was actually CBP. It was Customs and Border Protection. Just a point of order. Now, you know, in the minds of the public and in the minds of the abolish ICE people, ICE and CBP are indistinguishable, right? It's semantics, but they are two different agencies within DHS, and they have slightly different responsibilities, and they're both but they both are involved in enforcement and removal operations, clearly. But these were CBP officers, just so we're specific and accurate here. Need to be careful about that. The report the preliminary report that CBP sent to Congress. Here's what it says in pertinent part. They were conducting Operation Minneapolis, CBP was. Officer was confronted by two female civilians blowing whistles. The officer ordered the women to move out of the roadway. They wouldn't. The officer pushed both of them away. One of the females ran to a male, Alex Preddy. The officer attempted to move the woman and Preddy out of the roadway. The woman and Preddy did not move. The officer deployed OC spray, pepper spray, toward both Preddy and the woman, attempted to take Preddy into custody as he had intervened. You've seen the video between the officer and the woman. The preliminary report, Preddy resisted CBP personnel's efforts. A struggle ensued. During the struggle, a Border Patrol agent yelled, "He's got a gun," multiple times. Approximately 5 seconds later, Border Patrol agent discharged his CBP-issued Glock 19, and a CBP officer also discharged his CBP-issued Glock 47. After the shooting, Border Patrol agent advised he had possession of Preddy's firearm. The Border Patrol agent subsequently cleared and secured Preddy's firearm in his vehicle. Okay. Now, because you see the shooting occur, and the reaction from those filming it, the horror of it, and it's horrible to see someone killed. Understandably, it's an understandable reaction. Nobody wants to see anybody shot. However, just to bring another voice into this conversation, This is not really anything dissimilar from what I've said since Monday and what many of you who've called and texted in have said as well with respect to the standard here for lethal use of force when it comes to law enforcement officers. And frankly, it's nothing we haven't talked about for years in the series of unfortunate incidents involving domestic police agencies and people resisting arrest, not complying with lawful orders, escalating the situation. And the issue is what? Reasonable fear for your safety, reasonable fear for serious bodily harm or death. Well, when somebody's resisting arrest and you have a fellow officer call out gun, but let me bring somebody else into this. That somebody else was interviewed by our friend Liz Collin recently on her show for Alpha News up there in Minnesota. Liz Collin, the documentarian and former news anchor, she did the Fall of Minneapolis documentary on the George Floyd killing. This is Andrew Branca, and I think he lays it out pretty succinctly here when it comes to the law. Not that the left is particularly interested in that. When it comes to law enforcement officer safety, not that the left is particularly interested in that, but we'll go through it anyway.
The moment Alex Preddy interfered with the arrest of the woman in the white coat, gets shoved by a CBP officer, he makes contact with that officer. The moment he makes contact with that officer, he's just committed a federal felony good for 8 years in a federal penitentiary. That's why they were seeking to make his arrest, because they saw him commit a forcible felony against a fellow officer. Then he's non-compliant with arrest. He's fighting them. Then they discover he has a gun on his person. They take that gun. There's cries of gun, gun, gun. The officers call to each other. He's still non-compliant. They hear a gunshot go off, and Alex Preddy's right hand comes from his waistline with a black object in his hand. That combination of facts is going to get you shot 999 times out of 1,000 by law enforcement, and justifiably so. They're making all these perceptions, all these decisions in a violent, chaotic melee caused by Alex Preddy. They have to make all these decisions in a split second because that's how quick someone can use a weapon against you. And those decisions, again, they don't have to be correct. The law of self-defense does not require us to make perfect decisions. It requires us to make reasoned decisions, meaning you're applying your powers of reason to the facts presented to you. You're not making things up. You're not speculating someone could have a weapon. Now, probably the item in his hand would turn out to be maybe one of his spare magazines or maybe a cell phone, but it doesn't matter what it actually was. It matters how it would be reasonably perceived given that combination of facts. And reasonably perceiving it as a weapon is well within the realm of reason.
312-642-5600. Chicago Morning Answer, call in and text line. Carrie in Belvedere, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for being on the air. I look forward to you every day. The reason I'm calling is because not sure if a lot of people know it, but there's an app that is provided by the USCCA, and it's called Reciprocity, and it tells you the gun laws state by state. All you have to do is click on the state that you want to know about, and you can. It'll tell you Castle Doctrine, just general ones like that, mag limit, whatever. I recommend anybody that's a gun owner to download the USCCA app. It is Reciprocity.
Okay, thanks for the call, Carrie. All right, appreciate that direction. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, thanks for taking my call. That fella that you hear Dan just talking about things, boy, he was hitting what I was going to say about something that's not being discussed is the fact that this was a man that was armed in the commission of a crime. He made a decision and probably premeditated that he's going to go over there, interfere, and basically do these things that are unlawful. When you go through the CCA training and everything like that, I mean, you do not go and commit a crime. He was a criminal at the time. He was not a legal concealed carry holder when he decided they can commit a crime. It's like he forfeited that right and everything. And that's what everyone should be concentrating on. He was a criminal guy that basically premeditated a criminal act, that he went in to do it, and he armed himself to do it. So the fact that he was previously, went through the class and got the license, he violated what he was taught to do and how to act with when carrying a firearm.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Appreciate it. Text me 847. If you woke up one morning in Minneapolis and wanted to get shot, would you have done anything different than this guy? Yeah. Well, right. A tragic and colossal error in judgment. I don't know what his motivations were, but just a colossal error in judgment. But this is what happens when, as I said before, you think your beliefs immunize you from your conduct. My beliefs are so morally righteous that I can act however I like in furtherance in my own sense of what furthers those beliefs. And that just turns out not to be true. Your beliefs are your beliefs. The way you act in furtherance of them is not consequence-free. There are rights that are protected. You act in furtherance of them by holding up a placard, by yelling, abolish ICE. Fine. By yelling, imprison Trump. Okay. You interfere with a law enforcement officer? You intercede between a law enforcement officer and a suspect? Then you resist arrest on top of it? Knowing that you have a gun on you. I mean, it is... I use this all the time because it was such a nice application to just the real world when I went to get my private pilot's license, and my flight instructor talked about it. First of all, 95% of crashes are pilot error, and it's usually not one bad decision; it's a chain. I make one bad decision, and then I try and correct it with another bad decision, and then another bad decision. And then all of a sudden I'm suffering from impact. So that's what we have here. One bad decision compounded by another one, and it can be lethal if the decisions are bad enough in context. Something else that happened yesterday, though, is, of course, exactly the wrong way to respond. We don't have any information on this individual. At least I have not seen it. If I've missed it, please do chime in. But the noxious congresswoman from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, perhaps you've heard of her, Brotherly Love Spice, Ilhan Omar, she of the Socialist Spice Girls in the House Neo-Marxist Party caucus. She's holding one of her pro forma pressers, talking about abolishing ICE and demagoguing Trump and Noam and just immigration law enforcement generally, just the concept of enforcing immigration law. And some idiot gets out of his chair in this little crowd that was there to attend her presser and sprays something on her while she is speaking. And then he's brought to the ground by security that was there and so forth. And she was unharmed, thankfully. I mean, that is the last thing anybody on our side of law and order and peaceful pluralism should be doing. Clearly, obviously. Now, who knows who this guy really was and what his motivations are? I'll be interested to learn, because of course it's being characterized as somebody who is, ICE, border security, MAGA adjacent. We'll find out. I hope it's not. But if this is somebody in a misguided attempt to strike a blow back against these Jacobins who are in charge of Minnesota and that political party writ large, of course, this is just idiotic and needs to be condemned. I mean, it's condemned regardless of political motivation or political affiliation. But we cannot platform people responding in violent, obviously, even intemperate or undignified ways. This is a moment, where the whole world is watching, as the left likes to say. So let's make sure we distinguish ourselves with honor as compared to how the street rabble in Minneapolis and around the country is distinguishing themselves. This is what happened. Omar was carrying on about abolishing ICE.
As it's been said, real justice and accountability starts with full, transparent investigation and legal action against ICE, followed by the abolishment of the agency. ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good.
Yeah. Yay. And then this happened.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
And they walks up and sprays something on her. I don't know what it was, but fortunately, again, she was not injured, maybe a little jarred, but not injured. And then she carried on with her remarks. And this is, of course, lost in the kerfuffle here. But listen to the rest of her remarks. Wait for the end.
We are going to introduce articles of impeachment. This moment in U.S. history, and particularly in Minnesota, requires all of us to be working together to preserve our democracy. When we say we are going to put our lives on the line for what is our right, we mean that.
There's the reveal, right? I mean, she always tries to comport herself very room temperature, but beneath that facade is a militant, and it just came out there. Put our lives on the line for what we believe in. And let me tell you something. It's not democracy. 312-642-5600. Give us a call or text. Text from 847. It wasn't water that was thrown on Omar, or she would have melted. No, that's not too soon. I don't find that too soon. Very good. Speaking of violence, since she wants to, Andy No on scene reporting, as is his wont, from Portland to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Extremists linked to Antifa and anarchists and communist extremists are encouraging comrades to go to Minneapolis as quote-unquote delegates for an armed uprising against the U.S. government. They're raising funds for weapons, tactical gear, and supplies on GoFundMe. One of the statements made by these droogs is that Minneapolis will be our Fallujah. I don't know how to break it to whoever said that, because these are all X handles. Red and Black Salamander, Vitalist International, blah, blah. I don't know how to break it to it, but the insurgents took quite a pounding in Fallujah. So if that's what you're interested in, okay. But if you're not, you may want to go back and check your understanding of what happened there. Josh in Braidwood.
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Dan?
Good.
Listen, I'm not buying it. I do not buy it for 1 second. If you or any famous person on television was attacked on stage and had something sprayed on them, you would go back and get cleaned up. You would make sure that wasn't an acid or a drug or something serious. For a U.S. representative to get something sprayed on them and then turn around immediately and then get up and keep talking, no way. It's a false flag. That person that was performative at its worst.
Could be. I mean, it could be. Thanks for the call, Josh. That's why I'm withholding judgment. I'm not buying the story from the central office that this is a MAGA guy or anything like that. I'm just saying, look, if it was, whether it was or wasn't, it needs to be condemned. And we're not going to do that. We can't do that. But certainly that possibility exists. I mean, I found it a bit curious, a bit odd myself. Maybe it's a false flag. That's what I said. We'll find out. Another hoax. You know, hoaxes are not. These people are not beneath hoaxes, as we have so documented over the many years. And you know, and there's a racial component to it. It's a white guy, and it's poor little Ilhan from Somalia. That whole thing. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Phil in Maryville.
Yeah, he stole my idea. Well, I thought the exact same thing. That's a fraud. That's a scam. And I was thinking the only thing that could be legit about that is if it was one of their Somali scam artists that basically had some files stolen that showed they had a business.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Jim LaGrange.
Hey, Dan. Speaking of insurgency, I don't know if you read about or heard about this Virginia nurse who's advocating for doctors and nurses to do things like carry syringes with water in them or saline and to attack agents surreptitiously via like Tinder and take them out and do nasty things to our federal agents. It was like, it's really crazy. I guess she got fired for it, but I mean, and she does these on TikTok videos, which is insane to me that anybody would do this if you're planning anything. It just speaks to the quality of the thought process there, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, we've seen some wild statements from some nurses. That nurse in Boca Raton who made a disgusting wish in the direction of Caroline Leavitt about her pregnancy, and then also posted about, you know, not treating ICE personnel as medical professionals and stuff. You know, the politicization of medicine that we talk so much about. COVID is rearing its even uglier head again. All right, we'll get back to this because there's much more to discuss when it comes to the promotion of violence from the left here and the quote-unquote denazification or demagaization that needs to occur. West Chicago at 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock, AM 560.
Amid all the anti-ICE anger in Minnesota, an assault. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, targeting a Democrat, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, at a town hall last night while she was critical of immigration enforcement raids.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
That's when a man came at Omar, spraying the Democrat with something from a syringe people said smelled awful.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
And Omar wiped it off and kept on talking at the town hall.
Omar was angered and shaken, but apparently mostly unharmed. Security tackled the man identified as Anthony James Kazmarchuk and walked him out of the room. He was charged with third-degree assault. Representative Omar saying he was an agitator. Now, the frightening incident happened shortly after Board Czar Tom Homan announced he had meetings with Governor Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Frey here in Minnesota. Homan writing, while we don't agree on everything, these meetings were a productive starting point.
Well, that's Fox's Matt Finn in Minneapolis. Mayor Jacob Frey, a Democrat, posted after the meeting, Minneapolis will not enforce federal immigration laws. President Trump had put Homan in charge of enforcement there. He tells Fox's Will Kane show that operation's been a success.
We're going to de-escalate a little bit, but I will tell you, you look at the numbers, they're doing better than they've done in many years.
And we're also learning more about Saturday's shooting that led to even more anti-ICE anger, killing a protester, Alex Preddy. The Trump administration tells Congress 2 agents opened fire. One yelled, he has a gun, referencing the concealed weapon. Preddy had a permit to carry. The shots then came seconds later. Back to the president. He campaigned last night in Iowa, touting an improved economy.
If we lose the midterms, you'll lose so many of the things that we're talking about.
Kicking off weekly trips, trying to help Republicans keep control of Congress in November. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will testify before a Senate hearing this morning about the U.S. operation in Venezuela, warning in his opening statement the U.S. could take more action if Venezuela's leaders don't cooperate with the U.S. America's listening to
WIND Chicago.
Good morning. It's 3 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Our cold weather continues, but we will see some sunshine, mostly sunny today, 15 degrees for our high. The co-owner and chef of Warlord Restaurant has been charged with sharing explicit photos of a woman without her consent. A restraining order was granted to the woman, accusing 41-year-old Trevor Fleming of distributing the private photos, which were taken while the two were romantically involved. Fleming is due back in court later today. Well, he was acquitted in the murder-for-hire trial regarding Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino, but now 37-year-old Juan Espinoza Martinez is facing possible deportation. Martinez was taken into federal custody less than 24 hours after his acquittal. Martinez's wife told the Chicago Tribune that her husband had previously received DACA status under the Obama administration, but he was unable to renew that status due to financial issues. A homicide investigation has been opened regarding a pregnant woman who died in an apartment fire earlier this week. Firefighters pulled the woman from the burning building and saw she had been stabbed. A person of interest is in custody, but no charges have been filed. And Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity announced that they awarded more than $17 million in state taxpayer funds to 39 recipients for the expansion of the Illinois Works pre-apprenticeship program. The program launched in 2021 with the goal of increasing diversity and access to apprenticeship programs in the construction and building trades. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder explains a huge difference.
There's no love of people with whom you disagree. There's no compassion. There's hatred. Christians don't think that way. This is not what Jesus taught. But these are who these people are, which is why so much of the country is invested in their hatred of Donald Trump. All we can do is pray for them.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Don't risk losing the news, sports, and weather that AM radio delivers. When cell and internet service fail, AM is your lifeline. With time running out, your voice matters. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress vote yes on the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit AlmostFreeTeeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep in a traditional bed? Experience Zecliner, the revolutionary recliner by FlexSteel. The Zecliner was engineered with restful sleep in mind. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep. Zecliner is more than just a recliner, featuring custom power adjustments like recline, headrest, lumbar, heat, massage. It's a personalized comfort experience. Zecliner is a sleep solution backed by FlexSteel's durability that you can trust, delivering unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Discover the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
When someone you love is living with memory loss, finding the right care isn't just important, it's everything. At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, memory care isn't an add-on, it's all we do.
When Mom moved into Terra Vista, everything changed. She's safe, engaged, and surrounded by people who truly understand dementia. And I finally get to just be her daughter again.
Terra Vista was built specifically for caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, with secure indoor and outdoor spaces, innovative therapies, and a community that feels like home. Residents stay active, connected, and respected every single day.
And the best part? Mom can live with dignity. And I have peace of mind.
If memory care is in your future, choose the community designed for it. Choose Terra Vista of Oakbrook Terrace. Schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you. Terra Vista, where memory care lives.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Already stop and go northbound on Lakeshore Drive between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. The Eden looks great in both directions. 14 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose. Just 8 minutes both ways on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office. 14 minutes. A little bit sluggish outbound at 16 minutes. You are stop and go between Austin Boulevard and Oak Park Avenue. The Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore is 26 minutes, outbound is 22. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, inbound is 14, outbound is 11. A little bit sluggish on the inbound Bishop Ford as you head towards the Dan Ryan. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. Friday will bring intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A couple of postscripts from our conversation at the end of last hour, both upon the Ilhan Omar attack, the attack on Representative Omar, as well as the nurse in Virginia. The nurse in Virginia, just in case people didn't have the context, VCU Health in Virginia. She posted a TikTok video in which she said, among other things, sabotage tactic or at least scare tactic. All the medical providers grab some syringes with needles on the end, have them full of saline or succinylcholine, whatever. That will probably be a deterrent. Be safe. Succinylcholine is an anesthetic that causes rapid, short-acting muscle paralysis. The paralytic effect typically lasts 4 to 6 minutes. She has been fired. She's also been referred for a criminal investigation. I'm just talking about, just a reminder, people didn't see this too. This is back from last week, but this nurse in Boca Raton who got fired for the statement that she made in the direction of Caroline Leavitt after it was announced that Caroline Leavitt announced, last week that she's pregnant. Lexi Lawler is her name. She wants to be famous. There you go. This is what she said about Caroline Leavitt. This is who you're dealing with.
I hope that you rip from bow to stern and never normally again, you.
The woman in the video is Lexi Lawler, a now former labor and delivery nurse at Baptist Health Boca Raton Regional Hospital. Her comments were directed at White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who recently announced she's pregnant with her second child.
As a labor and delivery nurse, it gives me great joy to wish Caroline Leavitt a 4th-degree tear.
A 4th-degree tear, one of the most severe childbirth injuries.
As I said, let's contrast ourselves 180 degrees from people like that. the local network affiliate in Boca Raton reporting on her. She also posted this video, same nurse.
Just remember one thing, nurses. When you start seeing ice, nurses only work in warm weather. We don't deal with cold weather. We don't treat cold weather. We have nothing to do with cold weather.
Isn't she clever? Don't treat ICE officers, CBP officers, federal law enforcement. Text from 734, nurse here, Michigan Medicine. Big labor unions are cancerous throughout the nursing community, which explains the rabid activism in nursing. Yeah, well, that's a partial explanation at least. I understand that. Margot in Burr Ridge.
Oh, well, when you mentioned the Fallujah comment that this was their Fallujah, it reminded me of when they were all running around calling themselves the resistance. And they were so proud and loud, and, oh, they were the resistance to Trump and all of this. And, you know, they never seem to know the historic period or event that they're talking about.
Yes.
Here they are screaming and being violent, and they know nothing about the French resistance against the Nazis. The resistance people operated quietly, no glory, dying in obscurity often, torture, starvation, risking their lives every day. Someone would come to the door, knock on the door, and take them away, and that would be it. And they don't seem to realize they know nothing of what they're talking about, and they're making themselves look like idiots for anybody that actually knows a little bit of history. So,
thanks for the call, Margot. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not dealing with a lot of intellectual firepower here. But you are dealing with some people that are committed, and many who should be. Text from 708, Dan, I've been a nurse for decades. There are a lot of angry and far-left nurses. Your career choice doesn't make you angelic and virtuous. 100%. Yes, a lot of great people in the medical profession and some not so great people. It turns out that's the state of affairs in every profession. You know why? Because those professionals are human beings. And it's a mixed bag. Uh-huh. Oh, and just the matter of the Omar attack, again, the other postscript. The guy that was arrested has been, the early reporting I saw in Newsweek is, twice divorced, and maybe he just thought Omar reminded him of one of his ex-wives. I don't know. But he had posted, his social media posts include comments critical of Kamala and Biden. He posted about, positive things about Turning Point, Charlie Kirk assassination, and things like that. So at least his social media postings appear to be in the direction of being a Trump supporter. But, we'll, as I said, reserve judgment until more information than that comes to light. Okay. Let's talk about West Chicago, because the Gary Elementary School and the school district there in West Chicago, District 33, is up for grabs. Two little words from one PE teacher, and West Chicago is in full lockdown and meltdown. ABC 7's John Garcia reporting.
His social media post was on a site talking about immigration enforcement activities. It was just 2 words long. He said, "Go ICE." That comment is drawing an angry response from a crowd of more than 100 parents and community members. They filled West Chicago's city council chambers this morning to express their frustration and outrage that, according to officials, the teacher is still employed by the school.
Where is the due process for all the people that are being kidnapped on the streets?
At home, we teach our children to be respectful to the teachers. And then we expect the same, the teachers to be respectful.
Many here have protested ICE activities in West Chicago previously. They say ICE has targeted West Chicago's large Latino population in the last several months, causing separation of many families.
Go ICE. The residents were invited to speak out against this at West Chicago City Hall. The mayor didn't want the school district to have to handle this. Didn't want kids to see or be involved in protests. So they moved it over to the Village Hall on Monday, where people could sound off. People, including the mayor of West Chicago, who's this soy boy named Daniel Bovee. Big, soft tub of goo. And he's also fat. I was really talking about his mental capacity. State Senator Karina Villa, she had this to say on that day at that location.
As part of the protest, many parents kept their kids home from school today, some bringing them to the meeting.
You have many students across District 33 who did not go to school today because of fear incited by a teacher.
West Chicago is gripped with fear because a PE teacher posted "Go Ice" on social media. And this enlightened comment from one of the old honky awfuls in town.
Many of those here say they recognize the teacher has First Amendment rights to free speech, but they say they have rights as well.
Everyone has their right to say what's on their mind, but there's also consequences to that.
There are consequences if you disagree with us. 312-642-5600. Give us a call or text on West Chicago. This teacher allegedly, I do know his name, by the way, but I'm not going to say it. The teacher apparently submitted a resignation and then withdrew that resignation and now is on administrative leave. So the process can take place. Let me see how impassioned the teachers union is in defending this guy. Be very interesting to watch. Go Ice, and children are being pulled from the schools, including Daniel Bovee, who's just your standard issue fat honky dope in the suburbs. He kept his kids home too. What are they afraid of? Gripped with fear. A community in crisis. Daniel Bovee offered extended comments from the digs, the mayor's office, the digs of the mayor's office, about that two-word post. And the devastation it has wrought.
Many of you know that this week there was an incident where an employee at one of our schools in District 33 made a social media post cheering on the activities of ICE. And it was extremely hurtful and offensive to many people in our community. And let me just, first of all, explain why that is so hurtful and offensive. Because some people have asked, don't teachers have First Amendment rights? Can't they have political opinions? And yes, of course they can. Teachers can have political opinions. They can express their political opinions in appropriate ways. What makes this different is this. This school district, the school where this happened, we have multiple students who have lost their mom or dad in the last few months in these ICE raids. We have students who go home fearful every night, wondering if their mom or dad is going to be there. We have kids having panic attacks at school. Our kids watch the news. They see people who are shot and killed, people who are punched or kicked, and tear gas is sprayed. And this is the reality that they're living in right now. And so then they're wondering, is this what's happening to my parent who's been taken away? It's extremely traumatic for these kids. And so to have a teacher who is a person that they trust, who is the one who takes care of them when they can't be with their mom or dad, to have that person cavalierly cheer on these events as if it's a football game and say, go ICE, is extremely hurtful and extremely offensive. And it's wrong.
Yes. There is nothing more hurtful than supporting law enforcement enforcing laws. Offensive and hurtful. Now, Daniel Bovee, the mayor of West Chicago, who is just sort of a supersized version of Jacob Fry, as far as I can tell, he also knows who the teacher is that made this post. And he considers this person a friend. Boy, this person is lucky to have Daniel Bovee as a friend, I'll tell you.
We are a community, and the person at the center of these events is part of that community. I've known this person for quite some time and consider them a friend. I talked to this person in the last day, and this person seems to understand that they did something that was wrong. And as I said to this person, this is not, it's not right what you did. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the end is going to be, but it doesn't need to define you as a person. And I believe that. I believe that we should give people second chances whenever we can. At the same time, actions have consequences. The point is that there are processes and there's due process in place. And many of us have been bothered how ICE has disregarded due process. Many of us have been bothered of how ICE has dehumanized people. So let's not turn and do the same thing. Let's not dehumanize this person by our comments, and let's not short circuit the due process, which is merited.
Dehumanizing people. Powerful words from Daniel Bovee. Dehumanizing people. I mean, should we talk about how human beings who wear the uniform of ICE or CBP have been characterized by, well, the other teachers and politicians in your community? I wouldn't be surprised if also by you, Mayor. So no commentary when it comes to dehumanizing people. No commentary about the Nazis and the death squads and comparisons, like Jasmine Crockett, of ICE agents to slave patrols. Accusing people incorrectly of murdering, executing, disappearing. Is that demonization? Is that vilification? Are those kinds of characterizations, Mayor, consistent with your values? No. Heaven forbid anybody dehumanize somebody else. And go ICE, like cheering on law enforcement? I mean, the most banal statement in support of federal law enforcement you can make. It's not like the teachers are running around. Forget due process. Just round them all up and deport them. Round them all up and put them in a... Go ICE. And you lose your business. Boy, you're fragile, aren't you? I know, but it's all for the kids. It always is. It's not about Daniel Bovee. Never is. It's about the kids. Please, won't you do it for the kids?
Let's make sure that the kids and the well-being of the children is at the center of our response to this issue. I understand the outrage that many feel over this. I understand seeing injustices in our own community and wanting to respond to that. But let's make sure the kids are at the center.
Yeah, exactly. Put the kids first. 100%. Yeah. What are the injustices in your community? Could you be specific? Due process has been violated by ICE. Could you be specific? Making a lot of assertions, sans specifics. Keeping my kid home at school. I mean, keeping my kid home from school, I should say. And others did too, because they're afraid. What are they afraid of? People in the school have lost their parents. You mean their parents have been arrested for violating the law? Well, I know it's a sanctuary state, but other parents who've been arrested for violating other laws, do you characterize them in the same way as having been lost? Are we not supposed to speak of, I don't know, drug crimes, for example, because parents have been lost? Kids are afraid. Afraid, fear. The dehumanization of ICE is occurring while you're decrying dehumanization by Bovee, because you're characterizing, without using the names, without using the ad hominem, you're characterizing them as some sort of extrajudicial killing force, kidnapping operation. The way he is characterizing ICE, injustices, no due process, people are afraid, outraged and afraid. What are you supposed to conclude about ICE when you have those descriptions offered? That they're a legitimate law enforcement organization? That's not what he's describing. They are, but that's not how he's describing them. As he carries on about dehumanization and doing it for the kids and tamping down the fear and so forth. I mean, this is the way that totalitarianism enters. It's soft men and women like Daniel Bovee who speak at room temperature in cliches and ooze sentimentality. And it's off to the gulag you go. It's not going to be the out and proud militants, the people you see confronting law enforcement officers, assaulting law enforcement officers, railing, pounding their shoes on the lectern in Congress and in state houses. It's going to be people like Daniel Bovee. That's who gives the country away. That's who puts people who disagree into the gulag. This is why I always go back and referencing Flannery O'Connor and her observation in Mystery and Manners that sentimentality leads to the gas chamber. It's Daniel Bovee who represents America's slide away from being a free society. Much more so than the most obvious examples of intemperance and indignity and even violence. That's why this story is actually important. I mean, in addition to this teacher's career being threatened because he posted Go ICE and being demonized. You can come back from this. This doesn't have to define his life, Daniel Bovee says. Those are the words of a totalitarian. He would have put Solzhenitsyn in the gulag had he been part of the Soviet Union at the time. He would put Jimmy Lai in the prison in China. And it's all because he cares so much about the children. And it's all because he's, of course people can do this, but, of course you can say this, but there are consequences. Of course you can have your own thoughts and your own beliefs. However, that is a sickening individual. Jacob Fry's, the Daniel Bovees, these are the real threats. These are the real threats, much more so than all the people who generate the clicks and the attention online and on the Sunday talkies and the cable news desks, the names that you know. It's people like this, these faceless, cowardly ghouls. Neil in LaGrange.
would he have the same response if this teacher were to write screw ICE or something along those lines? And he forgot to mention too that the masked men that are taking these people away too, and the other thing, it sounds to me like, what was that? Was it Waltz that talked about the Anne Frank?
Yes,
that reference as well.
Yes.
Sounds to me like that.
Thanks for the call, Neil. Yeah, yes. Larry Krasner, he's a district attorney in Philadelphia. The district attorney. 2 terms, he got reelected. He's the honky Kim Fox, except he is even more incendiary. This is Larry Krasner, the state's attorney in Philadelphia. That's a major city in this country.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities. We will find you. We will achieve justice. And
He's talking about ICE agents. Is that dehumanizing? Mayor Bovee? But as I say, Larry Krasner, yeah, you got to worry about him, especially as long as he has the legal authority that he currently enjoys. But it's the masses that behave like Daniel Bovee and some of those pathetic West Chicago residents that you heard from that showed up to cheerlead Daniel Bovee and commiserate with a fearful community because they're so fragile they can't handle somebody, a teacher, that supports federal law enforcement in the most, as I said, the most antiseptic way. Take more of your calls on this because I have more to include. 312-642-5600, 636. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 4 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. We'll see partly sunny skies and a high of 14. A 19-year-old man is due in court today where he's facing several charges, including first-degree murder in the death of a pregnant woman who died in an apartment fire earlier this week. When firefighters pulled 30-year-old Eliza Morales from the burning building, they saw that the woman had been stabbed. Despite efforts to save her, Morales and her unborn child were pronounced dead at the scene. Downers Grove police say 19-year-old Natus Revucas of Westmont, Illinois, has been charged with first-degree murder with intent to cause death or great bodily harm, armed robbery, aggravated arson, intentional homicide of an unborn child, and aggravated cruelty to animals. The co-owner and chef of Warlord Restaurant has been charged with sharing explicit photos of a woman without her consent. A restraining order was granted to the woman accusing 41-year-old Trevor Fleming of distributing the private photos, which were reportedly taken while the two were romantically involved. Fleming is due back in court later today. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or your mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
I'm Jeannie Ives. And I'm Amy Jacobson. Join us for The Real Story beginning Monday, February 2nd from 11 to noon, Monday through Friday. We'll bring you the real information from Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. We'll expose the lies and misinformation from the politicians and the media. Listen to us on the station or online at 560theanswer.com. You can watch us live on Breakthrough Ideas Facebook page or Breakthrough Ideas YouTube channel. The Real Story begins on Monday, February 2nd at 11 a.m.
Think your IT systems couldn't get any better? Prove it. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge. For companies with 25 to 500 employees, we'll conduct a free, confidential risk assessment based on NIST or CIS regulations. If your systems and processes are 100% compliant and we can't find a single improvement opportunity based on the regulations, we'll write you a check for $10,000. For over 30 years, Access One has helped Chicagoland businesses strengthen cybersecurity, streamline IT operations, and reduce costs through managed IT and cloud solutions. Ready to take the challenge? Schedule your free confidential risk assessment. Visit accessoneInc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555. Certain terms and conditions apply. See details online.
What's wrong?
I have the flu. Or are you pretending to be sick so you can lie around on the SB 9000 sofa?
One of Penny Mustard's most comfortable sofas.
Please let me suffer in peace. Come on, fess up. Fine, I'm not sick. I just wanted to spend the afternoon on the SB 9000.
You had me going.
Really?
In fact, oh no, I think I'm coming down with something too.
The SB 9000 sofa, starting at $33.93 at Penny Mustard.
6 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's Scott Jennings inviting you to join me on the unforgettable Gulf of America cruise happening this November 2026. Imagine it. Turquoise waters, white sand, beaches, incredible food, and insightful conversations about the future of our great country. Mike Gallagher and I will dive into the issues shaping America as we cruise through some of the most stunning destinations while honoring the 250th anniversary of our nation. Text cruise to 94878 or visit scottjenningsshow.com and click the cruise banner to sign up today.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. In great shape on the Edens, both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose, just 15 minutes. Only 8 minutes inbound and outbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Burn Interchange. You've got about 15 minutes all around on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. The Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore, 26 minutes inbound. Outbound is 21. You also want to watch out for a stall on the outbound ramp for Pulaski Road. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 15 minutes. Outbound is 11. A little bit slow in the express lanes. Just a slight brake check inbound between Pershing Road and the Stevenson. This report is sponsored by Supershore. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get Supershore. Not kind of short, not pretty short, not a little short, but Supershore. The seismic shift is coming. Supershore coming soon. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with frigid temperatures dropping to a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. On Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, talking about West Chicago, gripped in fear because a teacher posted "Go Ice" on social media somewhere, and somebody found it and distributed it. And now the community is up for grabs. Thankfully, Daniel Bovee, the mayor of West Chicago, has taken the reins to try to heal the community, bring it together. He reminds me, Daniel Bovee does, of the protagonist in Camus' novel, The Stranger, who randomly and sort of casually kills a dude, but then afterwards feels no remorse. Because there was no intention. He's not evil. The deed just sort of happened. I'm not talking about Daniel Bovee killing anybody. Not yet. But that's the attitude. I have good intentions or no intentions. Things just happen. And all of a sudden, somebody's taken out. All of a sudden, somebody's rights are stripped. Hannah Arendt, in her magnum opus, The Banality of Evil, or coined the phrase banality of evil in her review of the Nazi killer Adolf Eichmann. To the point I was making before the break, here's something from Hannah Arendt's book. The trouble with Eichmann was precisely that so many were like him, and that the many were neither perverted nor sadistic, that they were, and still are, terribly and terrifyingly normal. From the viewpoint of our legal institutions and our moral standards of judgment, this normality was much more terrifying than all the atrocities put together, for it implied, as had been said at Nuremberg over and over again by the defendants and their counsels, that this new type of criminal, who is in actual fact hostis generis humani, commits his crimes under the circumstances that make it well nigh impossible for him to know or feel that he is doing wrong. Doesn't go one step further. He doesn't know or feel he's doing wrong. He thinks he's doing good. Something else she wrote about Eichmann was he was just a joiner. She described him as shallow and clueless. Someone whose thoughts never ventured any further than, how do I become part of this great historic Nazi machine? You want to play the Nazi game? Let's play it. Let's describe who's doing what and what we know about history when we're profiling who is behaving in a way that is inhumane, who most exhibits that most chilling description of Eichmann, the banality of evil. Daniel Bovee, again, let me replay this. The teacher in question, who he considers a friend.
We are a community, and the person at the center of these events is part of that community. I've known this person for quite some time and consider them a friend. I talked to this person in the last day, and this person seems to understand that they did something that was wrong. And as I said to this person, this is not, it's not right, what you did. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the end is going to be, but it doesn't need to define you as a person. And I believe that. I believe that we should give people second chances whenever we can. At the same time, actions have consequences. The point is that there are processes and there's due process in place. And many of us have been bothered how ICE has disregarded due process. Many of us have been bothered of how ICE has dehumanized people. So let's not turn and do the same thing. Let's not dehumanize this person by our comments, and let's not short circuit the due process, which is merited.
Yeah, sorry I had to send you to the gulag, pal. There's due process. Oh, there's a process in place. A process in place for what? This thought and speech crime? There's nothing substantive or just about a process misapplied. There should be no process here. He said what he said, as is his right as an American. And by the way, before I get people saying, well, you know, First Amendment rights and your employment, there are limitations. There are. There are. When the government is the employer, it has authority to limit employees' speech on the job, as well as off the job, if it impacts the workplace directly. Is the speech part of the educator's job? Is the speech about something personal? Does the government unit, in this case a school, have good reason for preventing the speech? Let me read something, a distillation of jurisprudence on the topic. The first question is the most important. Public employers may control what their employees say as part of their official duties. Common examples are where this is include when educators are teaching a class, coaching a team, holding a parent-teacher conference, driving a school bus. In those settings, the educator has much less freedom and must follow state and school district curriculum requirements. Employers may also restrict educator speech so that the school remains neutral on controversial topics. But such restrictions must be even-handed and may not silence only disfavored viewpoints. Oh. When an educator is on the clock but not engaged in official duties, there may be some First Amendment protection for their speech. Private prayer said in between classes is protected, so on and so forth. Personal comment made at a time and place when educators are free to attend to personal issues may likewise be protected. Educators have the most protection when they are talking about issues of public interest. They have less protection when they're talking about something personal. So, talking about something of public interest, not part of official duties, and to the extent the employers may restrict educators' speech, so the school remains neutral on controversial topics. You can't pick sides. Say, for example, open borders or border security. Federal law enforcement with respect to immigration, or no federal law enforcement with respect to immigration. Is that what's happening here? By the way, I'm reading from the National Education Association's website. So this is the teachers' union interpretation of the free speech rights of educators. And so what's here? You heard in the ABC News report, ABC 7 report, that many of those decrying the teacher who posted Go ICE had previously participated in protests against ICE. Do you want to bet dollars to donuts that you have teachers in that school district who have posted, said, protested a viewpoint that is opposite the teacher who posted Go ICE? And yet there's a process, and we're putting the teacher who posted Go ICE through a process. Were teachers who took the opposite view put through a process? No, of course they weren't. The process is part of the crime when it is imposed unevenly and unconstitutionally. 312-642-5600. Jordan in Antioch.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there with what you just said, but I hope this guy lawyers up if he's serious about keeping his job, because the fake union, teachers union that should have never been a union, they're not going to stand up for him. So I hope he lawyers up and has a good lawyer that does a deep dive into what you just said and starts bringing out all the other teachers who have posted all their, like you said, dollars to donuts. They went to a protest. They posted it on social. The other thing is, This guy, this mayor, and these school systems, I am so glad my kid is out of the public school system, and I cannot wait to get out of the state because of this simpering little Mo, this nutless, feckless little half a man who will spew that crap and not point out the fact that when you're offended because these kids are going to see people being brutalized or shot, or do you mean the protesters or the cops? Because that's how this started. And the people like him who foment and push and will instigate that are the reason why the cops are. I don't know if everybody realizes that. I think we need to go way back into when this started. The police or the ICE agents and the DHS and those the border security, they have escalated their response to what they're facing. This started out as they were just going out getting criminals. Now they're going out in teams. Now they have reactionary forces in place before they even start. And that's because of guys like this. And I hope if you live in West Chicago and you have one testicle hanging down low and you care about your kids and your family, you see this guy out in public, mock him publicly, mock him because he is a joke. And he is, like you said, the most dangerous type of person that you will face because it's not the ones pulling the strings that are sending on the orders. It's guys like him that will go along with it just because they want to be part of something and will send you to the gulags. They will turn you over. They will not defend you. They have no understanding of what First Amendment is if it doesn't align with them. So be very scared of that person. And
thanks for the call, Jordan. Text from Amish, the Amish texter. So when do the West Chicago show trials start so we can denounce our fellow Soviets of their crimes against the state of West Chicago? Yeah, it's about right. I mean, but you'd be doing it for the kids. Put the kids at the center. Meanwhile, you have this. Again, Philadelphia DA Larry Krasner.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities. We will find you. We will achieve justice. And
remember when Trump said, they're not coming for me, they're coming for you, I'm just in between? One of his most powerful lines over the last several years. Because it's true. And they're not just coming for him and coming for ICE agents. Charlemagne the God, popular urban radio talker. De-MAGAification. Like denazification, like de-Baathification in Iraq. That's what he's saying.
I'm going to tell y'all something, America. I don't know how dark or how bad things are going to get, but I keep hearing people referencing 1940s Germany. But I want y'all to remember something when you are bringing up that history. The Nazis ultimately lost. Nazi ideology was outlawed through denazification. One day we will see the de-MAGAification of this country. It will come. And you know what else happened? Leaders of the Nazi regime were prosecuted and tried as war criminals.
Mm-hmm. This guy running for Attorney General in the state of Ohio. Former state rep. Yale educated lawyer. Got his law degree from Yale. Elliot Forhan is his name. And when he says he is going to kill Trump, and that's what he said, this is what he means.
Hi, this is Elliot Forhan, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment. That is what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump.
They got the Nazi hunters and the Nuremberg trial prosecutors ready to go. Jane in Rockford.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. I have a brother-in-law who teaches high school English, no less, in Dixon, Illinois, who last year I wrote to the school board about, who had posted something on his social page about, we haven't had a president die in office in quite a while. Who's ready? And I was livid. He has so many of his students and former students, young people, who are his friends on his social media accounts, who he influences. And don't tell me that in his classroom every day, his biases don't come through in how he teaches. I'm just so tired of the hypocrisy, the double standards between the left and the right. Nothing ever happened to him. The school board did write me back and say that we're handling it, but I never heard anything, any punishment or anything that happened to him. This is Dixon, Illinois.
It's handled right. I guess he's technically born in Tampico, right? But Ronald Reagan home.
Right.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Thanks for the call, Jane. They handled it. Joe, Glen Ellen.
Hey, Dan. You played the audio. Daniel Bovee himself said actions have consequences. So why is he surprised that parents are being taken away because they broke the law? They came here illegally. Why is he so surprised?
Very good, Joe. Mm-hmm. Right. The words or actions of people who disagree with us, of course. Yeah, very stilted. Minnesota teacher out in the streets in Minnesota.
The people united can never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Good evening. My name is Anna. I am a member of PSL Twin Cities. I'm a longtime educator, and I'm a resident of South Minneapolis.
And she went on from there, you can imagine. Process for her at the local school district? No, I don't think so. Not when your words are righteous. Coming up at 7:07, we'll continue the conversations we've been having all morning. We'll fold in former Riverside Police Chief Tom Weitzel. Talk law and order with Police Chief Tom Weitzel. 7:07, now 7 o'clock, AM 560 WIND.
Catch more money with leading economist Steve Moore.
I'm excited about America. I think things are going really well. I think we've turned a corner here. I think Biden economics is well behind us now. This is a miracle what's going on here. If anything, it's better than I thought it would be. So many good things happening in the economy. Low inflation, low unemployment rate, consumer confidence up, business confidence up. All of the indicators are pointing north right now.
It's More Money, Saturday at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. It is 4 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Chicago man cleared in that Border Patrol bounty trial is now facing immigration proceedings. Fox's Lisa Lacara has more.
Attorneys for Juan Espinoza Martinez say he's been taken into immigration custody and faces deportation after being acquitted last week in a murder-for-hire plot where he was accused of putting a $10,000 bounty on the life of Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino. His wife told the Chicago Tribune he was a recipient of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the Obama-era program that shielded thousands from deportation if they meet certain criteria, including having no criminal record. During the trial, the federal government accused him of being a ranking member of the Latin Kings, but that claim fell apart when they didn't present evidence and a judge barred mentions of the gang at trial. Lee Silicera, Fox News.
A Park Forest man has been sentenced to 48 years in federal prison for sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of child pornography. Prosecutors say Tricalo E. Thomas enticed, persuaded, and used a minor to engage in illegal sexual conduct. Thomas allegedly recorded the conduct and trafficked the images as barter to collect more than 1,500 images of child sex abuse. According to new estimates from the U.S. Census Bureau, Illinois' population has risen for the third straight year. Data released on Tuesday showed Illinois with an estimated 12,719,141 people as of July 1st of last year. And 2 teenagers are in critical condition following a crash early this morning. Police say the pair were driving a stolen vehicle when they hit a viaduct in the 3500 block of West Marquette on the city's south side. The pair were taken to Advocate Christ Hospital for treatment. This report is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free at the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ETHOS.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep in a traditional bed? Experience Zecliner, the revolutionary recliner by FlexSteel. The Zecliner was engineered with restful sleep in mind. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep. Zecliner is more than just a recliner, featuring custom power adjustments like recline, headrest, lumbar, heat, massage. It's a personalized comfort experience. Zecliner is a sleep solution backed by FlexSteel's durability that you can trust, delivering unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Discover the Zecliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes and their families, heroes like Scott Abrams. Now, for more than 3 decades, Scott served his community and country while he was on his NYPD motorcycle escorting a funeral procession. Scott was hit by a bus, leaving him partially paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers was able to honor Scott with a mortgage-free smart home. Please join us supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. If you can donate $11 a month, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Temperatures are cooling, but not concerns about inflation, market volatility, and taxes. Revisit your financial plan this winter. BestGen Wealth Partners work with individuals to develop personalized plans that help navigate changing conditions with confidence. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com to learn more.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
Salem Surround. Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
You know, there's nothing wrong with flying first class. Of course, everybody's got that cheapskate uncle that always says the back of the plane lands at the same time as the front of the plane. I guess there's some sort of cheapskate logic in that. However, the door is in the front of the plane, so why not get to first class? After all, they have dishes, silverware, glasses, warm towels. And if you want to sit at first class, or you aspire to, all you need is a little planning from Alpha Wealth Group. Their goal is to help maximize your income in retirement. Since you can't take it with you, there's no point in squandering your time. After all, the warm towels make the ride fun. Call Tom Fortino and Alpha Wealth Group for their complimentary roadmap to retirement, so you can take a first-class flight and not worry about the cost. Call 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711. 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jam-packed on the Kennedy inbound with a crash at Division Street. So it's 25 minutes from Montrose to the Byrne interchange. Outbound looks good at 10. The Edens, that is 15 minutes in both directions from Montrose to Lake Cook. And on the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, getting busy. 24 minutes inbound. Outbound is 17. Inbound Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore is 39 minutes. Outbound is 23. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne interchange, that looks like 19 minutes. Outbound looking good at 11. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Croft University and the Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with frigid temperatures dropping to a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. On Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Our next guest recently wrote a piece entitled What Really Happens During ICE Operations, but we already know that. We know what happens during ICE operations. Armed, masked men disappear people, mainly focused on 5-year-olds. To the extent we ever hear about them again, they're held in violation of the Constitution at facilities ripped from Midnight Express when they're not executed on the streets straight away. Right? That's a nice operation. At least that's what I understand it to be from all of the leading lights of the left that are opining on it, which is why we have to abolish ICE and we have to abolish CBP and we have to open our borders and we have to be sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. And then when we remove Bad Orange Man, we need to pursue the demogification of the entire country and task well-respected Nazi hunters like Larry Krasner and Charlemagne the God to prosecute the war crimes against the war criminals and capital punishment for these traitors. Right? I mean, because, we're getting to that point. James Schwesnettel is the co-owner of Moon Palace Books. He's an important voice in Minnesota. He was important enough that Jake Tapper put him on.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. Not saying they're Dachau. I'm not saying they're putting people in ovens yet, but these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you about that.
No need to argue. They're concentration camps. I said so. Fort Snelling is a concentration camp. Alligator Alcatraz is a concentration camp. Broadview, Illinois, that's a concentration camp. They haven't put the ovens in yet. Not yet. these are the people that are on the side of what is right and proper and true? Really? For more on this, pleased to be joined by the author of said piece, not that stuff, the stuff about what really happens in ICE operations, Tom Weitzel, former chief of police for the Village of Riverside. Tom, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan, and thank you for having me.
So you've been to Broadview, the ICE facility there, when you were police chief. So there are no ovens there yet, right? Not yet.
No, I have been to that facility when I was chief several times for just observation and then actually a meeting once. And when I was there, it was absolutely a processing center. That's what it was built for, and that's what it was. And, you know, back then, there was nobody even knew where it was. It was like you could find a parking space anywhere. It had no controversy surrounding it, yet they were still processing illegals at that facility, and at the end of the day, they were still, transferring them out of state to be held longer than 24 hours.
Well, your secret concentration camp has been discovered now.
Yeah, that is a facility for processing. They fingerprint, they take mug shots, they verify identifications. Yes, they're held there until they can, and now they're transporting them either to Indiana, Wisconsin, sometimes even farther out of state than that. And you would see those when the confrontation would, at the end of the day, around 5 or 6 o'clock, when the transport vehicles would try to leave the property. You would see the protesters and rioters there kind of rush the officers that were there and the vehicles when they exit. They're leaving the state. That's where they're going that day.
And your interaction when you were police chief with federal law enforcement officers, whether it's ICE or CBP, doing enforcement and removal operations, what was that like?
They were targeted for sure. I mean, we did an operation with the federal government where we were looking for warrants. There's 100 warrants here in Illinois, and we would meet, and the federal government was involved, ATF, FBI. They even had some Secret Service agents in. They had Homeland Security for intelligence. They had analysts, and they would give us packets, and you would go out and look for these individuals. And that's what's happening with the ICE. They give you the targeted people they're looking for. They're either convicted felons or, in some cases, final orders, meaning they've been through all the appeals process, and you would look for that. And at times, other people got caught up in the arrest because you were looking for subject A, and you found him, but he was with subject B and C who were also in the country illegally. They weren't targeting them. They were targeting the operation that they had for the morning.
So it's your experience that they were not disappearing people or otherwise engaged in unlawful actions, violating people's due process rights. We hear a lot from people who don't understand the legitimacy of administrative warrants and what the lines are and so on and so forth. But your experience was what? Transparency, following the law, collaboration with local law enforcement back in the heady days when they were allowed to?
Yeah, with certain transparency, without a doubt. And we did cooperate on these operations that were either looking for drug trafficking, human trafficking, like I said, outstanding warrants that were serious warrants. And they were always our partners. They always provided manpower, equipment, data. So it was all transparency. We never hid anything from anybody. They just didn't, the media was never covering it back then because nobody cared, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that the federal law enforcement officers were soldiers of fortune that were just grabbed from local watering holes the way they're being described today? Or are these officers who've gone through a good bit of training, who have a good bit of background in law enforcement and were actually quite professional in the execution of their duties?
I found them to be very professional. They did have extensive training. They were also almost a great deal of these officers were former military. So they had either military training before getting out of their deployment or out of their commitment to the military. They would go to be, sometimes there were MPs in the military, sometimes there were just military officers in the Coast Guard, Army, Air Force, they would transfer into civilian policing or federal policing, and they already came with a lot of military bearing and military training, which works out very well in law enforcement. And then they'd have the training from the federal government, and if you went into local policing, you'd have the local police academies and field training programs. But, I mean, there were 60, maybe 65% of these individuals, these officers, were coming during that time from the military itself.
Well, that's interesting because I know roundly we hear people pay great homage to our military men and women, and they represent the best of us. But then for those that go into federal law enforcement like ICE or CBP, all of a sudden they immediately transform into Nazis. That's so strange that it happens that way.
That is exactly what's happening now. Those military officers, or even the frontline people transferring, many of them apply for police agencies, even local police agencies when they come out, because they're desirable, they're trained, they are physically fit, they're trained in firearms already. All you're doing is retraining them on how to operate, for example, in Illinois or in your department.
Whoa, Chief. Not if Laura Fine has her way. Legislation from the good senator from Glenview to prohibit ICE and I assume CBP officers from becoming state or local law enforcement in Illinois. You can expect that to be rushed through the General Assembly into Pritzker's desk.
You know, that is, my opinion of that is that, first of all, that's unconstitutional. You would be targeting a whole class of people, a whole class of officers. I mean, because they would be saying this class, if you work there for this period of time, and notice that legislation is written only during the Trump administration, at least thus far. Did you see that? That's what it is thus far.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's targeting a group of professionals.
Well, you know, the U.S. Constitution is something that the regime in Illinois is happy to work around, tear apart, as the political needs, dictate. So don't worry about that, because they're certainly not.
You know, you could disagree with maybe the methods or the training, or you could disagree. And I always think there's avenues for that. The avenues is go to Congress and get the law changed, or go to court. But these types of initiatives where you're just going to wipe everybody with a big brush and just say, well, we're going to eliminate this whole class from being police officers in Illinois is unconstitutional.
We were just talking about this situation out in West Chicago where a teacher posted the words "Go ICE," and it has the community in an uproar, and no one feels safe anymore. We had a similar. It's interesting just talking about the free speech rights of people. We had former Cook County Judge Jimmy Brown, on the show yesterday, and I saw you posted about this as well. So Jimmy Brown was a retired. If people didn't catch the interview yesterday, they should look it up. Former Cook County Judge, 30 years in the criminal justice system in Cook County, retired 5 years ago, wrote an op-ed against the left's lawfare for John Cass at his outlet, johncassnews.com. A month later, there is a solicitation put out by the Illinois State Supreme Court to fill 12 judicial vacancies in the short term. The term was a year. Jimmy Brown put a letter with a resume in as so deemed. The Illinois State Supreme Court selected him as one of the 12. And then a couple of these Praetorian Guard lawyers associations found that op-ed he had written, and they said he should be removed. And then the Illinois State Supreme Court removed him on which day? Wednesday? On Monday of this week. So the speech rights of Cook County Judge Jimmy Brown, the free speech rights. I mean, here's what you have in West Chicago, in Cook County, in Illinois. You have intellectual martial law, and the identitarian orthodoxy will be enforced. It will be enforced against a gym teacher at an elementary school in West Chicago. It'll be enforced on someone who these same groups praised as a great jurist, but he wrote the wrong op-ed, even in retirement, and when they had a chance to pounce on him, they did, and the state Supreme Court went along. This is intellectual martial law, what you have in this state.
Yeah, I commented on that on my X account because he was highly rated. He was certified by all these lawyer organizations. And in retirement, like you said, he appears on the John Cash podcast, makes his opinion known. They allow him to come back, right? And now those two lawyer associations file a complaint. And you can bet, Dan, that somebody that's in that association notified the leadership and said, hey, you know what, this isn't wrong. They don't like him. They said, we think you should file a complaint. Our organization should send a letter to file a complaint that he should not be allowed on the bench. And that's how it happened. And that's politics, right? That's what's so they're playing the politic game with the Illinois Supreme Court too. I mean, that's just canceling somebody for something that he expressed an opinion on. That's highly rated. That nobody disagreed that he did an excellent job while on the bench. I didn't see one negative comment about that.
Well, I mean, things like your individual rights, even-handedness, even enforcement of the law. These are all matters of politics in this state. I mean, you don't. It's what Mark Lennon said on the show yesterday. We have a rule of men in this state, not the rule of law, and that ends badly. For all these history buffs out there making absurd comparisons, you may want to peruse the history of the law being decided by the whims of those in power.
You know, this rhetoric is so bad. Active police officers I still know told me they went to look for an offender, a child sex offender in the suburbs the other day at a warehouse, and they wouldn't let him in. And the officers and detectives said, we're looking for one of your employees. We have nothing to do with ICE, okay? We're from the village of so-and-so. We're looking for a child sex offender. We have a warrant. And they wouldn't let him in. And they're like, we're not, we're not, like, you're not going to help us? Look. And they're like, no, get out of here. And so everybody thinks anytime the local police, Chicago police, are going to look for anybody, they automatically think it's an ICE operation, no matter what it is.
Better 1,000 child sex offenders go free, Tom, than anybody cooperate with ICE. That's the new motto here of the justice system. Tom Weitzel is the former police chief for the village of Riverside. Tom, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great morning.
You too. And Tom joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-366-6161. That's 800-366-6161. 800-366-6161.
40,000 people, that's enough to pack Wrigley Field. I'm talking about 40,000 people who realized hip and knee surgery wasn't their only option. There has to be another way. Guess what? There is. They found it at QC Kinetics, an alternative to surgery. I know this because I've met the patients. They're moving better and hurting less thanks to QC Kinetics' advanced regenerative treatments. Surgery is not always the answer, so do your research and talk with my friends at QC Kinetics. They offer natural treatments backed by real science. They will activate your body's natural healing power. It is safe, natural, and non-surgical. Osteoarthritis only gets worse, so don't wait. Get started this month. 40,000 people can't be wrong. Before you choose surgery, talk with QC Kinetics and tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. That's me. Call today, 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold. And the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Dan Proft here to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season. I'm talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. Your business can be a part of this effort. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help more than 30 children for an entire year. And when you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this deal, just call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. Again, that's 847-472-8950. One more time, the number, 847-472-8950. Or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That website again, 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Well, the experts did their best with this season's flu vaccine, but the virus mutated and the vaccine could not keep up. But here is the truth. The most powerful defense against viruses isn't something man-made. It is the God-given immune system that you were born with. And the best immune system booster that I, Scott Jennings, know of is Virago. Virago, it is a liquid immune enhancement supplement featuring 23 potent nutraceuticals working synergistically to enhance your immune system against assaults. Trust the design that God gave you and strengthen your body's immune system with Virago, the ultimate immune enhancement cocktail. Order it online today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code Jennings to save 30%. Myvirago.com. Coupon code Jennings saves you 30%.
Are you confident your IT systems are rock solid? There could be cracks you don't see. Don't leave your technology to chance. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge to find out. For more than 30 years, Access One has helped businesses strengthen their security, protect their data, and improve resistance to cyber vulnerabilities, all with reliable U.S.-based support. And here's our promise. If our experts can't identify at least one measurable improvement to your IT systems and processes based on NIST or CIS regulations, we'll reward your compliance excellence with $10,000. This free, confidential risk assessment is available to businesses with 25 to 500 employees, and it's a great way to verify your IT is secure and efficient. No gimmicks, just proven results from an experienced IT partner. Ready to put us to the test? Visit accessoneInc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555 to schedule your assessment today. Certain conditions apply. See details online.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home. Salem News Channel is across America.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk to our friend, Steve Moore, economist. And we'll talk about Trump's affordability message in Iowa yesterday. We'll start there at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 4 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is calling for more protests against President Donald Trump's administration.
To not protest in this moment would be a derelict of duty, particularly at a time where we see the rise of tyranny and fascism that threatens the sensibility of our humanity.
A 19-year-old man is due in court today where he's facing several charges, including first-degree murder in the death of a pregnant woman who died in an apartment fire earlier this week. When firefighters pulled 30-year-old Eliza Morales from the burning building, they say that she had been stabbed. Despite efforts to save her, Morales and her unborn child were pronounced dead at the scene. Downers Grove police say 19-year-old Nidis Revukas of Westmont, Illinois, has been charged with first-degree murder with intent to cause great bodily harm, armed robbery, aggravated arson, intentional homicide of an unborn child, and aggravated cruelty to animals. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
82 million Americans rely on AM radio for news, sports, talk, and emergency alerts. But unless Congress acts now, AM could disappear from new cars. Tell lawmakers AM radio matters to you. Text AM to 39179 and urge Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act before it's too late.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way and affected his mobility. It became too painful to even go for walks. And when it seemed like John's only option was knee replacement surgery, a friend told him about the Joint Relief Institute and their affordable, non-surgical knee pain relief. John met with the Joint Relief Institute and discovered their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
Let me tell you, Chicago gets cold, very cold, and they love me in Chicago.
The fake news isn't reporting it, but it's true. And you can't have your furnace fail in Chicago. That's no good.
That's when you should call Air Right Heating and Cooling.
The technicians, beautiful people. You're freezing, everybody's freezing. They show up fast, know what they're doing, and get the heat back on quickly.
Air Right Heating and Cooling offers 24/7 service throughout Chicagoland.
A broken furnace in Chicago is like living in Greenland. And believe me, I know Greenland. Very cold, lots of ice. These guys install the best furnaces. Frankly, it's not even close. Even Rosie O'Donnell would say I'm right, but she won't.
For fast, reliable heating service, trust Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and save $56 off any service.
Nobody's ever done anything like that. Unbelievable.
Visit them at air-right.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Doing it right since 1959.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then they help you do more with it. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Stop-and-go delays northbound on Lakeshore Drive with a stall at Jackson Drive, taking out the right and center lanes. Delays start right around Roosevelt Road. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Hook to Montrose, that's 20 minutes. Outbound is 16. Jam-packed on the Kennedy, 15 minutes inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange. But an accident has been cleared at Division Street. Outbound is 14. The express lanes inbound also slow between Kimball Avenue and Division Street. 39 minutes inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 21. 48 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 23. 21 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 12. This report is sponsored by Supershore. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get Supershore. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but Supershore. The seismic shift is coming. Supershore coming soon. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. Friday will bring intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We have been remiss, I've mentioned it, but we haven't gotten around to it. We need to make the time to mark the 20th anniversary of Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. As I said, it shouldn't just be left to Howard Lutnick to have fun ridiculing Al Gore. You remember Al Gore. It wasn't that long ago that he offered this.
Some of the models suggest to Dr. Maslowski that there is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, and that was back in 2014. You know, models. You know how those go. And of course, really an heir apparent to Al Gore, possible presidential nominee for the new Marxist Party in 2028. AOC just a little more than 6 years ago said we were on a 12-year clock.
Millennials and people and, you know, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, they seem to have lost their mojo, so much so that Jason Altmaier, who is a Democrat from Pennsylvania, writing in The Hill, Democrats must take a more practical approach to climate and energy. Could they take a less practical one to date? In today's political environment, Democrats can no longer be the small 10-party of elites and ideological checklists. If they want to start winning elections again, Democrats will have to reconnect with everyday Americans. A step in that direction would begin to embrace America's oil and natural gas economic engine. Bite your tongue, the hell you say. He at least is trying to get ahead of the political learning curve, at least the one within his party, because on the topic of affordability, which was President Trump's raison d'etre for being in Iowa yesterday, energy prices, like electricity prices, that's a central part of the conversation, is it not? Steve Moore, who joins us now for our Wednesday conversation. Steve Moore, of course, is a noted economist and author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-author with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dan. By the way, I live in the southern city of Washington, D.C., and not only the polar ice caps not melting, but we have ice caps here in Washington, D.C. today, all over the place.
They're moving south. Yeah. So power, energy, the prices, Trump's visit to Iowa to talk affordability, this is part of it.
Yep. Well, let me give you all some history about this. So, when you and I were growing up, Dan, I think I might be a little older than you are. Before that we had talked about climate change, it was all about running out of energy. Remember, we're running out of oil. And so here we are today with oil at pretty close to record low prices. I just paid $2.79 a gallon for gas. And so that didn't happen. And all these kind of doom and gloom predictions by the Malthusians in the 70s and 80s didn't happen. So then they came up with this new apocalyptic narrative, which was that we were going to have global warming. Then the planet didn't warm, so they had to come up with a new narrative, and then they called it climate change. There was a lead story in the New York Times on Saturday reminding us that just because we have this frigid weather all over the country, that doesn't mean we don't have climate change. It actually proves that we have global warming. Did you know that ice storms are a result of global warming? Yeah.
Right. Everything that is bad or inconvenient is the result of climate change / global warming / whatever the phrase du jour is. Yes, we understand. Anything to get after those noxious fossil fuel businesses.
So the solution to every one of these problems was what? More government control of the economy. So it had nothing to do with, changing the weather of the planet. It was giving politicians and authoritarians more power over what you and I could do. We had to give up our cars. We had to stop heating our houses. We had to, wear cardigan sweaters in our houses so that we wouldn't use too much energy, and on and on and on. And God, that rube is over, except for the fact that they're still preaching it. They're still preaching this stuff. And if you had AOC, I would love, what I would love, Dan, if you got AOC on your radio shack.
I'd love to do that.
And ask her about it. Can you get her on?
We'll endeavor. It's difficult to get, I don't know, you probably have this experience too. It's difficult to get the left out of their echo chambers, don't you find?
That's right. I mean, they would never come on your show because you would challenge them about why were you wrong in 1998? Why were you wrong in 1999? Why were you wrong over and over and over again? They don't like to be called out on this stuff. And, by the way, we are going to face another government shutdown probably on Friday. And this is going to be Schumer shutdown part 2. This is the left's agenda now is to burn down the village. They are causing chaos and mayhem all over the country because they hate Trump, and anything that causes chaos and mayhem hurts Trump. So that's their strategy. So they will shut down the government, and then they'll blame it on the Republicans.
And this is going to be, and now they have a cover story for now, which is, of course, this is over reining in the runaway DHS and more specifically ICE and CBP.
Yeah, but you know what? ICE already has funding, so if they shut down the government, it's not going to affect ICE. These people are pretty stupid. That's going to be their protest over ICE to shut down, I don't know, the Department of Interior.
Yes. Well, again, it's the press release, not the substance, not the merits of it that they're concerned about, isn't it? I mean, that's always the case. Right. Now, some good news. And again, some good news on the economy that came out earlier this week. New orders for key manufactured capital goods increased more than expected in November, suggesting business spending on equipment is on the upswing, which is a pretty good leading indicator of economic activity and thus economic growth. But Trump getting out and about, going to the heartland to hang out in diners in Iowa to talk affordability. Is that something that was planned, and he knows he needs to sort of make the case, as you still have divided opinion on whether or not people feel things are going well economically for them, or was that sort of an emergency move to try to refocus on the economy and away from immigration law enforcement?
Well, I think a little bit of both. By the way, I want to tell you my solution to the Minneapolis mayhem. I would advise Trump to pull all the ICE troops out of Minneapolis. Just get them out. If it's their city, if they wanted to, if they wanted to be ransacked by criminal aliens and so on, that's their business. And that I would do is basically have Trump give a national speech saying Minnesota's not getting another penny of federal dollars until they return the $6 billion they stole from American taxpayers through fraud, and until they give that money back, we're not funding them anymore. How about that?
Well, and then you'll have a federal judge do what a federal judge did with his February 1 edict, which is to say, yes, you will, and then that'll be litigated for months on end. And meanwhile, I mean, it's a difficult thing. I don't think you can abdicate the federal law enforcement.
I know, but we're funding them. I mean, we're funding. Tim Walz said they were stealing this money, and he did nothing about it. But can you believe it, by the way, that guy might have been one heartbeat away from the president?
Yeah. Can you? I'm still having trouble believing that Kamala Harris was one heartbeat away from being the president, too, or a few swing states away, as the case may be. But you're still sanguine about economic growth in not only the first part of this year, but this year.
Yes. So basically, I have to say I'm quite flummoxed right now, because on the one hand, almost every single indicator is very positive. Every one of the major economic measurements we use is pointing north. And so, we have 5.5% growth in the fourth quarter, which is off the charts. I haven't seen anything like that in recent memory. We've got inflation coming down. We've got the average median up $500, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could go on for 15 minutes about the positive things in the economy. And yet, yesterday, two polls came out, a Fox poll and a CNN poll, showing consumer sentiment is way, way down. So I can't quite explain that. I can't explain why you've got, objectively speaking, a very, very strong economy, and yet Americans aren't feeling the love. I don't get it.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to dig into that deeper. I mean, it may be something where they feel that angst and anxiety about where the country is on a whole,
maybe
sort of the whole gestalt of where the country is, and they're just attributing that to any individual issue as well.
I think that's right. And also, people focus on the things that are going up in price, not the things that are going down in price. So yes, beef and steak prices up, but shop prices are going down. Banana prices are going up, but prices are going down. Airline tickets are going down in price, et cetera. Focused on the things that are going up, and that is the supposed affordability crisis. But look, I'm super in the U.S. economy, as Larry Kudlow is. Every indication is that we're in an investment boom right now, with businesses spending like never before. And why is that? Because we passed the big, beautiful tax that allowed businesses to write off their capital purchases. And guess what? When you tax something less, guess what happens? You get more of it.
Yeah, and I also saw a post, too, from Senate Republican caucus that American seniors are going to see a new $6,000 bonus exemption as part of the BBB $93 billion in tax cuts for seniors all over the country. So, when some of the component parts of the BBB take effect, even though there's way too much spending in it, that may help to move public opinion too.
Yeah. So I am, some background noise. I'm on my way to the big ceremony that Trump is having in about a half an hour to celebrate the Trump accounts. So
yes,
that's another thing that people will be able to put money into these accounts for their kids. And by the way, Michael Dell will be attending. He's, of course, of Dell Computers, the billionaire, and he put one of the greatest philanthropic gifts ever. He's putting, I think, $6 billion into these accounts for low-income American kids. What a great idea.
It's right. That's you and Michael Dell. All the luminaries will be there. So quick question before we let you go. The Gold 5,000, precious metals through the roof, dollar purchasing, the strength of the dollar declining. Any concerns there?
Yeah, there is a concern there. Anytime the gold price goes up, that's a bad sign. And that, again, has me a bit confused because all the other signals are very positive, but gold is the refuge for people who are who are afraid of what's going to happen in the future. But silver prices are up as well, so that is not a good sign. And I'm a little bit confused about why that is happening, because usually when GDP is going up, the gold price goes down. But now we have both GDP and the gold price going up. So somebody smarter than me is going to have to answer that question. But I have one theory, Dan, and I cannot prove that it's true, but if you look at some of the data showing that what the Chinese are doing in Beijing, the communists, they're selling their U.S. bonds and they're buying gold. So they're trying to drive up our interest rates by selling their bonds, buying gold to stock up on the gold price up.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting theory. Okay.
Well, the evidence shows they're doing some of that. Whether they're doing it intentionally to destroy the U.S. economy, I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past them.
Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-author with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks as always.
Thank you,
have
Dan.
fun hanging out with Michael Dell and the president.
Will do.
Take care. And Steve joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-682-3311. That's 800-682-3311. 800-682-3311.
Are you confident your IT systems are rock solid? There could be cracks you don't see. Don't leave your technology to chance. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge to find out. For more than 30 years, Access One has helped businesses strengthen their security, protect their data, and improve resistance to cyber vulnerabilities, all with the reliable U.S.-based support. And here's their promise. If their experts cannot identify at least one measurable improvement to your IT systems and processes based on NIST or CIS regulations, they will reward your compliance excellence with $10,000. How about that? This free confidential risk assessment is available to your businesses, with 25 to 500 employees, and it's a great way to verify your IT is secure and efficient. No gimmicks, just proven results from an experienced IT partner. Are you ready to put Access One to the test? If so, visit accessoneinc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555 to schedule your risk assessment today. Again, 800-654-1555 or online at accessoneinc.com/challenge. Certain conditions apply. See details online. 40,000 people. That's enough to pack Wrigley Field. I'm talking about 40,000 people who realized hip and knee surgery wasn't their only option. There has to be another way. Guess what? There is. They found it at QC Kinetics, an alternative to surgery. I know this because I've met these patients. They are moving better and hurting less thanks to QC Kinetics' advanced regenerative treatments. Surgery isn't always the answer. Do your research and talk with my friends at QC Kinetics. They offer natural treatments backed by real science. They will activate your body's natural healing power. Safe, natural, non-surgical. Osteoarthritis only gets worse, so don't wait. Get started this month. 40,000 people can't be wrong. Before you choose surgery, talk with QC Kinetics and tell them Dan Proft sent you. That's me. Call today, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, hoping you'll join me on the unforgettable Gulf of America cruise happening in November of 2026. Imagine this: turquoise waters, white sand beaches, incredible food, insightful conversations about the future of America. Scott Jennings and I will be your hosts. We'll dive into the issues shaping America as we cruise through some of the most stunning destinations while honoring the 250th anniversary of our nation. Book your cabin today. Text the word cruise to 94878. Text cruise to 94878 or visit mikeonline.com.
The following is presented by Retirement Income Strategies Pro. Listen up, Illinois. Here they are, the top 3 reasons no one is planning for long-term care. Number 3, I'm healthy. I'm not going to need it. Folks, I hate to burst your bubble, but longtermcare.gov says that an astounding 70% of us age 65 and over will need care. Number 2, Medicare pays for that, right? Wrong. Medicare is health insurance and does not cover custodial care, which is long-term care. So unless you want to spend down your personal savings, you need a plan. And the number one reason people don't plan for long-term care? My spouse or kids are going to take care of me. Folks, I urge you to reconsider if that's what you're thinking. Don't do that to your kids. Wouldn't you rather leave a legacy for your family and not a burden? Call today and get your free long-term care survival kit. Wait till you see all the options you have. Johnny, tell them how to get their kit.
Just call Certified Senior Advisor Mark Kohler, 844-619-7233. That's 844-619-SAFE.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
A text from 847, Bob the Engineer. How many people have heard of the Milankovitch cycles? I love Milankovitch, Steady KGB, and Rounders. Oh, no, yeah, I've heard of the Milankovitch cycles there, Bob. This is the change in the Earth's orbit, changes the distribution of solar radiation seasonally and longitudinally. Yeah, but don't ask AOC that. And she won't come on our show, unfortunately. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He's charged with assault. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The man who attacked Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a town hall in Minnesota last night. He pulled out a syringe and sprayed something onto Omar. They say smelled awful. She asked for a napkin, and though her staff urged the Congresswoman to go, Omar kept speaking, and her attacker was arrested. It happened hours after Border Czar Tom Homan arrived to oversee immigration enforcement, attempting to calm tension that got even worse with Saturday's deadly shooting of a protester. And Fox's Matt Finn reports from Minneapolis. Homan met with Democratic leaders.
President Trump has laid out a plan for ending the chaos in Minnesota, which in part requires Minnesota to turn over criminals for deportation. But Mayor Fry doesn't seem willing to play ball there, writing, "I also made it clear that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws and that we will remain focused on keeping our neighbors and streets safe.
And President Trump just posted on Truth Social that Mayor Fry is playing with fire. The president held a rally in Iowa last night.
12 months ago, Joe Biden handed us a mess.
Touting an improved economy and a closed border, kicking off weekly campaign events, warning if Democrats will undo what he's done if Republicans lose control of Congress in November. Today marks 40 years since a disaster many Americans watched on television live.
We have main engine start.
The Shuttle Challenger made history, launching a teacher into space. Krista McAuliffe, part of a crew of 73 seconds, though, after launch, Challenger broke apart. All 7 were killed. Retired astronaut Bonnie Dunbar flew on Challenger's last successful mission months earlier and tells the Fox News Rundown podcast.
It's horrific. You lose friends. You don't want it to happen, but you don't want it to end your exploration. And I guess that's a philosophy that we've carried with us for, thousands of years?
It took 32 months, with shuttle missions resumed in 1988. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 4 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Illinois lawmakers are moving to ensure that families adopting children from the state's foster care system are receiving complete information about a child's history, including medical, educational, and counseling records at least 30 days before that adoption is finalized. Katrina Barker has the story.
The bill, recently introduced by State Senator Darby Hills, also guarantees that former foster youth aged 18 and older can access the records for free. Hills said the bill responds to concerns from adoptive parents who often face significant barriers in understanding a child's history after adoption.
They're not able to obtain it. They can get it for the biological parent, but they cannot get any information about the foster parent.
One parent, Hills noted, adopted 2 of her 3 children from foster care. While she could access details about the biological parent, she had no information about the foster homes where her children had lived.
Her children suffered trauma as a result of those living conditions, and she can't get any information in order to address the trauma.
I'm Katrina Barker.
He was acquitted in the murder-for-hire trial regarding Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino, but now 37-year-old Juan Espinoza Martinez is facing possible deportation. Martinez was taken into federal custody less than 24 hours after his acquittal. Martinez's wife told the Chicago Tribune that her husband had previously received DACA status under the Obama administration, but was unable to renew that status due to financial issues. This report is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Gold's price rose to another record this morning, topping $5,300 for the first time. The value of the U.S. dollar declined this week, making dollar-priced gold more attractive to buyers from other countries. AT&T shares are up nearly 4% after reporting higher sales at its wireless and consumer business and its earnings top forecasts. Amazon is cutting another 16,000 corporate staff after eliminating 14,000 positions in October. The cuts were revealed in a blog post to staff. Employees are being directed to look for employment elsewhere in the company. And NVIDIA shares up more than 1.5%. Reuters says China has okayed 3 of its largest tech companies to purchase H200 AI chips. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquet and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones agent Nolan Webster.
Are you 65 or older and dealing with chronic knee or shoulder pain? You're not alone.
At the Joint Relief Institute, we've helped thousands find real relief without surgery. Our non-surgical, FDA-approved treatment uses hyaluronic gel that acts like a cushion between the bones in your knee. As we age, the cushion naturally wears down, causing painful grinding and popping. But our gel restores that cushion, allowing your knee to move smoothly again. Ready to stop the pain and get back to doing what you love? Call the Joint Relief Institute at 708-315-6800. Again, that's 708-315-6800.
Move better, live better with JRI.
Move better and live better with JRI. Contact the Joint Relief Institute today and get back to doing what you love. Call 708-315-6800 or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oakbrook, and Orland Park. Call 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
Do you struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep in a traditional bed? Experience Z-Cliner, the revolutionary recliner by FlexSteel. The Z-Cliner was engineered with restful sleep in mind. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep. Z-Cliner is more than just a recliner, featuring custom power adjustments like recline, headrest, lumbar, heat, massage. It's a personalized comfort experience. Z-Cliner is a sleep solution backed by FlexSteel's durability that you can trust, delivering unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Discover the Z-Cliner by FlexSteel at Slumberland.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jam-packed on Lakeshore Drive, northbound just before Oakwood Boulevard, there's an accident. Then further north, a stall takes out the right and center lanes just before Jackson Drive, and then it's slow once again as you head towards Hollywood Avenue. And it is solid on the Edens inbound between Cicero Avenue and Montrose Avenue. The Kennedy inbound 50 minutes from Montrose to the Burn Interchange with the crash at Ohio Street. Outbound is 24. The express lane slowdown inbound from Montrose Avenue to Ohio Street. 51 minutes inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 36. 54 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. 29 minutes on the reverse side. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. 32 minutes. Outbound is 12. This report is the service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with frigid temperatures dropping to a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. On Friday, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A few days ago, Judicial Watch sued the city of Chicago and one Mayor BLM Brandon for failure to comply with FOIA requests over information Judicial Watch is seeking with respect to communications and plans that have yet to be made public related to the mayor and company subverting federal law enforcement operations during Operation Midway Blitz. You know, per all the pronouncements that we're not going to cooperate with the feds, possible stand-down orders issued. I mean, all of that tumult at the height of Operation Midway Blitz. Judicial Watch had submitted FOIA saying, we want to see communications that speak to the plans that were made by the city vis-a-vis the federal government when it came to immigration or still in real time comes to federal immigration law enforcement in the city of Chicago. Because I suspect Judicial Watch is thinking maybe they're more than just saying we won't assist. Maybe there is communication that suggests active adverse operations to federal law enforcement, something that could potentially, who knows, rise to the level of criminality, as we see, for example, state and local officials on signal chats in Minnesota working with the professional agitators that have descended upon the metropolitan area up there. Brandon Johnson, asked about the lawsuit, responded thusly, sort of veering into a preemptive strike against Clarence Thomas, interestingly.
Judicial Watch is suing the city of Chicago over its reparations task force, saying that it's discriminatory by race when you said it wouldn't just benefit blacks, especially foundational black Americans. Doesn't deviation from recently supported case law to institutions of higher learning, where Clarence Thomas laid out a legislative package, make the program unnecessarily vulnerable, status by race versus status by injured class?
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything that Clarence Thomas has ever done that has benefited black people.
Well, I just told you.
I mean, you read something, but there's no evidence that anything that the justice has ever done on behalf of the interests of black people or even marginalized people in general.
Well, it's in his concurrent opinion, but anyway.
But as far as any lawsuit against the city of Chicago as it relates to reparations, the whole point of reparations is to repair the harm that was done to black folks. That's what it's designed to do. As you might know, Department of Justice, under the leadership of Donald Trump, is also suing the city of Chicago because of our efforts to right the wrongs of the past, particularly as it relates to descendants of slaves. They can't have it both ways, right? They can't accuse the city of Chicago of focusing solely on black folks while at the same time trying to make a claim that somehow we're doing the opposite of that.
Well, of course, Brandon Johnson didn't understand at all that individual's question about making it about race versus a specific injured class, which was a proper question, by the way. But that's beyond BLM's capacity there. So their shot at Clarence Thomas never having done anything for black people as, actually, when you respect the founding principles of the country and things like equal protection under the law, you're doing things for black people, for white people, for all people, and that's Clarence Thomas's record on the court. But I digress. It's those sorts of things. Yeah, so the suit is over the reparations task force plus the ICE business. Those sorts of things that have put, and that sort of race hustle that has been attendant to Brandon Johnson just about every day of his tenure as mayor, that had him front and center in the recent Neo-Marxist Party senatorial debate. You've got three principal candidates running on the Neo-Marxist Party side, running to backfill Sac-A-Durban. Two congresswomen and a lieutenant governor. Raja Krishnamoorthy, Robin Kelly, the two congresswomen, and then Juliana Stratton, Jelly Belly's pick, his lieutenant governor, for the nomination to face probably Don Tracy, former head of the Republican Party, in the general election come March 17th or post March 17th when you get to the general election. So WBEZ and the Sun-Times, I repeat myself, state-run media, hosted a debate with those three individuals. And the question, are you supportive of Brandon Johnson? Will you back his reelection? Really interesting responses, starting with Raja, which is who is an interesting character, Raja Krishnamoorthy. He is as oleaginous as Ali G, but he's a little smarter. But I don't think this was his finest moment as he tried to contort his way out of having to be supportive of Brandon Johnson while not being openly critical because he doesn't want to anger the black constituency or some significant segment of it in this primary election.
Do you approve of the leadership of Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, and will you support his reelection?
Do you have another question? I'm just kidding.
Congressman Krishnamurthy, you're first.
I'm
Hilarious.
first. Okay.
You don't live
well, look. Yeah. Look, I think that, let's see. I want to see where Brandon Johnson's going to take us as a city. Look, we have tremendous potential as Chicago.
Here we go.
We are an amazing city in the Chicago region and all of Illinois, for that matter. And the question is, do we bring people together and try to find our boldest common denominators, or do we go a different direction? And I'm always fearful when we might be dividing more than uniting. Because when we're attacking each other, we can't attack our common problems. And so what are some of those issues that we have to deal with? One is we have to continue to build upon the record that, for instance, Governor J.B. Pritzker has done at the state level with attracting jobs.
I'm sorry, Congressman, the question wasn't about the governor, it's about the mayor. So without attacking, specifically, do you approve of his job performance so far, and do you imagine yourself supporting him in a re-election?
Yeah, let me get to that.
Chop.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is this. My support for him will depend on, do we do more of building on consensus and bringing people together to tackle our common problems, attracting more economic development, especially to the south and west sides of Chicago? Do we work together with business more in trying to find places where we can help them and we can create a win-win? Do we also continue to deal with the public safety issues in a way that recognizes the long-term concerns about criminal justice, while at the same time people's legitimate fears about crime? I would also say this, which is we have tremendous potential. Brandon Johnson can preside over a renaissance in Chicago, but only if he takes the best parts of Chicago and amplifies them, including the people.
You know what Raja Krishnamoorthy represents? He represents a post-literate suburban Chicagoland. The literacy of the northwest suburbs has declined so significantly that a patent huckster like Raja Krishnamoorthy can exist as its congresshuman without much of a challenge. 312-642-5600 is the call-in and text line for Chicago's Morning Answer if you want to chime in on these answers as you see three neo-Marxists trying to... How many neo-Marxists can dance on the head of a pin when asked if they will back Brandon Johnson's reelection? Well, you're watching it. At least three of them. Juliana Stratton followed, punting the question as well.
I'm very grateful for the ways that we have stood together here in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois, especially in the wake of all of these attacks by Donald Trump and his administration. And you all might have seen when he was threatening to send federalized troops to our city, we all stood together. Federal electeds, the governor and I, county, and the city of Chicago, to say that we don't welcome Donald Trump here, that we don't want his troops, and that we're going to stand up for our neighbors. So that kind of collaboration must continue. I don't know if he has announced that he's running for re-election, so I have no comment on that at this time.
Will you support Brandon Johnson's reelection? We stood against Trump, a bad man, and we came together and blah, 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 blah. It's so funny how ham-handed their answers are because, you know, they never get challenged to account for BLM Brandon's tenure in the city of Chicago. And then they try to separate it to sidle up to Jelly Belly. Jelly Belly and BLM Brandon, JB and BJ, have virtually the same record. Virtually the same record. It's just he is more of an unrepentant race hustler, and he's just, less skilled at being the fork-tongued politician like a Raja or a Jelly Belly because he's an ideologue, where I'm talking about BLM Brandon, he's an apparatchik. Whereas Jelly Belly and Raja are shapeshifters. They will say and do anything that is required to climb the political ladder. So that's the difference, and thus the different approaches. Okay, one more. Robin Kelly, she was the most supportive of BLM Brandon, who I don't know where his approval rating stands right now. On Firing Line, it was suggested his approval rating is at 30%. That would be significantly higher than it's been, previously, but still, I think I can fairly confidently say that he's underwater, which is, why you see this bobbing and weaving here, and why you see so many candidates that are positioning to run in 27. Robin Kelly.
Like any elected official, people would say this about me. There's some things you agree with and some things you don't agree with. I will give him a great compliment on how he handled ICE, and actually I will give him a great compliment when Chicago was on stage with the DNC. Chicago did a fantastic job under his leadership, and when he had to he was summoned to D.C. on the Oversight Committee, and you would be proud of how he stood up and defended Chicago and took a lot of heated questions, but he did a really, really good job. I don't know if he's running again. He hasn't said that to me, but I think that in this next year, time will tell what happens with the budget, what happens with school, what happens with businesses coming in and out of Chicago. Can he bring the council together?
Okay, let's all get together to rob the bank. If we do it together, then it's a beautiful thing. You would be so proud of the way that he defended the indefensible when he was prepared before the House Oversight Committee, along with Jelly Belly. You'd be so proud of when he took a stand and said, we will not collaborate with the enforcement of federal law. We will not make Chicago safer. We will not help ICE remove public safety threats from our city. What a wonderful moment that was for Chicago, just as it was for Illinois with his partner, JB, in tow. Yes. Yes. Right. We're so good when we have one party working together without even the hint of opposition over anything substantive. Yeah, you get contretemps over things like a head tax, but that doesn't really matter. We can gloss over that. That's just people protecting their viability going forward for their own political interests. It's not like it was anything substantive that matters in any meaningful way to the economic climate or quality of life in the city and the state. So, let's just move it along, play the we'll see game. Wow. Very illuminating. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Good morning, Dan. I mean, it's just insulting that they think that I cannot see through what they're doing. Like, how hard is it to answer the question, A, did anybody have a BS meter out there? Because it would have gone off the charts with some of the things they were saying. B, you're saying Clarence Thomas hasn't done anything for the black community. Will you please point to something you have done for the black community? Because we know what it is. If it's
got that reparations task force. Yeah, it's got that reparations task force going. So that's
ding dong.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. The worst part, text from 708, the worst part of Raja and Stratton are there ridiculous and incessant commercials that ruin my afternoon viewing of Judge Judy. That is offensive. Yeah, we feel for you, 708. Greg in Rogers Park.
Yeah, I mean, those three. Tony Parkwinkle, where does she stand with the great mayor?
I haven't heard. I assume she is very much like the teachers union. She'll be supportive of him until it's time not to be. Thanks for the call, Greg. Mary, Midway.
Oh, just one of the many reasons I Donald Trump never bring to the Raja clip. He would never talk in those platitudes. He's the only one who doesn't talk like that. I mean, Raja may as well be Joe Biden. They all say nothing. Donald Trump never does that, and I love him for it.
Thanks, Mary. Jack, Northwest Indiana.
Morning, Dan. So, truthfully, this has got to be the sort of saddest group of potential candidates for the U.S. Senate. Completely underwhelming. But Raja's comment about economic development on the southwest sides, how many times have we heard that? The only economic development occurring, they recently opened up a Four Winds casino, I think, off of 8094. That, pot dispensaries, and video, shops is about
abortion clinics, strip joints. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what you get future. The other comment is they forget that Donald Trump got 500,000 more votes in 24 versus 2020. They completely ignore the fact that there's an awful lot of folks in Illinois who are pro-Donald Trump and pro-ICE. But it doesn't matter to them because they only fixate on the group of individuals that they want to represent, which is not us, and don't measure it all.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Well, they don't have to worry about those Trump voters or those who support the enforcement of federal immigration law until those individuals make themselves known when Donald Trump isn't on the ballot. And there's just a whole host of them that don't. And then bitch about what Illinois has become. Steve, Oswego. Steve.
Oh, hi,
Steve,
good morning.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think you're overlooking the fact that there is real talent on that stage. They passed one of the most important tests, that's the filibuster. They ran the clock down, talked the entire time, and said absolutely nothing.
It is impressive. Thanks for the call. And certainly Raja is the best at that among those three. Ron, Southside.
It's very excruciating listening to those bumbling idiots. Okay, Robin Kelly, she said she wants to see what Brandon was going to do with the schools. School attendance is at an all-time low. As bad as the schools are, the parents are not even sending their kids there. Okay, so that's what they pick up a newspaper and read about it, Robin Kelly. And lastly, Roger said he wants to see how Brandon is going to attract business. Brandon is the same idiot that was going to bring back the employee tax that got rejected. I mean, do these people? Well, no, I know they do think that most people in this city, county, and state are just dumb. That they won't even check the facts. So I just had to say that. What I pointed out, those are facts. So vote. So okay, continue to vote for these people. Have a good day, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Stay tuned for a special message from Angel Dad Joe Abraham about his daughter Katie.
Put yourself in my shoes. I just spent my first Christmas without Katie. My daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant Governor Pritzker protected. Imagine her final breaths, knowing that you would have given your life for hers, but you didn't have the chance. Put your child in Katie's shoes. Think of the unfulfilled dreams, the unrealized joys, and the permanent loss. I'm not a political guy, but when politicians unleash violent criminals, we all need to get involved. We can do better, and we must do better. Ted Dabrowski would have protected Katie, and he'll protect your children the way I wish someone had protected mine.
I'm Ted Dabrowski, and I approve this message.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago Immune Support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
The following is presented by Retirement Income Strategies Pro.
Attention Illinois annuity owners. If you're concerned about protecting your personal savings against the likelihood of a future long-term care claim, your current annuity may hold the key. You see, the Pension Protection Act, or PPA for short, now allows annuity owners to upgrade their old annuity for the new PPA-compliant annuity and receive tremendous tax benefits when used for qualifying long-term care expenses. You could save thousands of dollars if you have a future claim. Plus, receive up to 3 times your current annuity value instantly for long-term care. Give your old annuity new life and purpose. For more information and a free copy of Making the Pension Protection Act Work for You, call Mark Kohler at 844-619-7233. Call now. Find out how you can save thousands and get up to 3 times your current annuity value instantly for long-term care. Call Mark Kohler, 844-619-SAFE.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:38, one of the few left of center individuals were able to get on the show because he's thoughtful and an adult. And he has colleagues over at the Liberal Patriot Horror as well. It's always enjoyable to discuss issues with Michael Baharine, chief political analyst at the Liberal Patriot. And we will do so at 8:38. Stay tuned. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 4 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A fire in the Woodridge neighborhood has left several families displaced. According to reports, that blaze broke out overnight at a multifamily complex in the 7900 block of Janes Avenue. Several units were damaged. Officials say one firefighter received minor injuries. A 19-year-old man is due in court today where he's facing several charges, including first-degree murder in the death of a pregnant woman who died in an apartment fire earlier this week. When firefighters pulled 30-year-old Eliza Morales from the burning building, they saw that she'd been stabbed. Despite efforts to save her, Morales and her unborn child were pronounced dead at the scene. Downers Grove police say 19-year-old Natus Revucas of Westmont, Illinois, has been charged with first-degree murder with intent to cause death or great bodily harm, armed robbery, aggravated arson, intentional homicide of an unborn child, and aggravated cruelty to animals. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquet and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results, done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com, and schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion.
We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkbrook Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jam-packed on Lakeshore Drive northbound between Foster Avenue and Hollywood Avenue, and it is solid on the Eisenhower inbound between 25th Avenue and Homan Avenue. Outbound, watch out for a crash at First Avenue. So from Wolf to the Old Post Office, inbound is 58 minutes, outbound is 38. 62 minutes on the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, outbound is 22. The express lanes inbound jam between Montrose and Ohio Street. Inbound Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore, 52 minutes, outbound is 39. 35 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, outbound is 13. The express lanes inbound are slammed as you head towards the Stevenson. This report is a service of Back to School America. This holiday season, help Back to School America make an impact on teachers who give it their all. Your donation will empower teachers and inspire students. Give today at b2sa.org. That's b2sa.org. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly sunny and frigid with a high of 16. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 2. Tomorrow will be bitterly cold with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 14. Friday will bring intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a few snow showers, remaining frigid with a high of 16. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Chamath Palihapitiya. He is one of the tech bros on the All In podcast. Pretty good. One of the very successful venture capitalists that's part of that group. He recently sat down, along with his wife, with Katie Miller, wife of Stephen Miller, for her podcast, where they talked about, is Chamath, you going to stick it out in California? And he's definitely wavering. But I thought one of the more interesting parts of the conversation was Chamath Palihapitiya talking about how he went from being a pretty significant donor to the Democrats not so long ago, like within the Trump era, to not being part of the financing infrastructure for the Democrats. Listen to his conversion story, if you will.
You went from being a large Democrat donor to now a very outspoken proponent on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah.
When you are so influential to other VCs and other people with high net worth here in California, and you've really shaped their public opinion and public perception, how did you get there yourself? Was there a moment you woke up and you're like, okay, it's all different?
There was. This is not about politics for me. It's about the truth. There was a moment where I was basically like everybody else and pretty brainwashed. My media diet was very much the same as everybody else's. I read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. I watched a little bit of CNN, a little bit of CNBC, a little bit of MSNBC, a little bit of CBS. Economist every now and then you encounter it on a plane, and you think you know what's going on. And I had a perception of Donald Trump initially from the moment he walked down the staircase in Trump Tower to announce. And then over the course of 6 or 7 years, I realized that some of those fundamental things that I was told about him were just totally false. And there was enough content online where I was almost afraid, but it started with Charlottesville. I was almost afraid to look at it because I'm like, I think I was lied to. And then I saw it. I saw what he said, but then I saw the portrayal. I had originally believed that portrayal until I saw the truth. And then I just started to go down that rabbit hole. So for me, it was an evolution where I was like, I can't believe I'm being lied to by this group of people whose sole responsibility is to hold truth to power. The key word there is truth to power, not your perception or your desires. And I just think that red pilled me, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, very interesting. Michael Baharine has written a piece over at Liberal Patriot that dovetails into this nicely, entitled, "Liberals Should Try Harder to Understand Their Adversaries," in part because their adversaries were one time their allies, as in the case of Chamath Palihapitiya. I don't know if his advice is going to be heeded, but let's talk to him about it. Michael Baharine, chief political analyst at the Liberal Patriot. You can also get his writings at michaelbaharine.substack.com. Michael, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Good to be back.
What Chamath had to say, how do you process that?
Yeah, I've heard similar sentiments from other people as well. I think in the past 5 to 10 years or so, their social circles have diversified a little bit, and I think their media intake, their information intake is diversified. And I think it just when people kind of open their minds a little bit to more than one way of looking at things, they start to see a little bit more nuance in the world. They start to understand that maybe their worldview, their whole framework for kind of making sense of things doesn't always give them all the right answers, all the clear answers for how to process different events, different moral questions. Look, I mean, I probably haven't changed as much in my own views as he has, but I also recognize the need to kind of get out of our bubbles once in a while, right, and to try and engage with information that might at first have felt a little bit uncomfortable, but that is kind of important to work with.
Well, yeah, something else that he mentioned that he described, which is important, is, and this has happened to me too, is one of the things that starts to change perhaps perceptions, as you're saying, is you start to say, well, wait a second, that person, even though I ostensibly agree with them or I consider them a source, but then I find out they're really not operating on the level. And now I have to reevaluate that person as a source, as an information source, or that person as somebody that I look to for insight or thought to consider, and so on and so forth. So you start to, as you say, you start to change some of your sources of intake, and that starts to, but partly because you're intellectually curious, and partly because some of these information sources disgrace themselves, frankly. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I think something that I have started to notice is I think a lot of people, they're not even really aware of their own biases in some ways. I think we sort of took for granted that a lot of, mainstream journalism just kind of calls balls and strikes, and then leaves it to the viewers to kind of make up their own minds. And I do think that for a long time that was more or less how a lot of those outlets operated. But I think over time, people started, especially journalists who kind of came from a similar social milieu, were surrounded by a lot of similar like-minded peers. At some point, they started to kind of let their own personal views seep into their coverage of things and how they reported information, and maybe even subconsciously, like not even realizing they were doing it. But at some point, I think Americans started to become a little more sophisticated at kind of having, maybe it was a BS detector or whatever you want to call it, but they started to realize, wait a second, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it was part BS detector, and part of it was this sort of watershed moment, because when Trump was elected, you had some masks come off. And I mean, I still remember David Remnick, of the vaunted New Yorker, basically saying in explicit terms, all the normal rules are now discarded, that we have to be open advocates against the administration, against the regime. He basically announced that we are going to be the what some of them have been for some time. We are going to be the calm shop for the opposition. We are going to go after this individual and his administration in order to save democracy or for some other high-minded reason. But he just stripped away the veneer.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of prominent media outfits specifically that kind of took that tack that said, it's not enough to be neutral or call balls and strikes anymore. This is, quote unquote, this is not normal. Therefore, we have an obligation to basically become political entities and, to take a side in this. And I think that backfired in a big way for a lot of these organizations, and they're still working to win their credibility back.
Yeah, your colleague Rui Teixeira wrote a piece over at Liberal Patriot too that talked about this cultural denialism, is the phrase that he used, that still persists within the center left, and it's to complement that with the piece you wrote at Unheard, this may be part of the reason why the Democrats are not realizing as much of the upside as they could be vis-a-vis Trump right now, with poll numbers that have started to lag.
Yeah, well, so Rui's kind of main argument, and I'm very sympathetic to it, is that cultural issues for many Democrats, they don't see those as real issues. They don't see those as political issues. And I think there are some who kind of understand that maybe some of the excesses of the culture wars of the last 5 to 10 years have sort of backfired on the party, and they're trying to kind of ignore it and just lean in completely to affordability and the economy and that kind of stuff. But I think what's missing from that analysis is that these cultural issues really have inhibited the party in a lot of ways. They put a cap on their appeal and their popularity, especially among middle America voters, working class voters, people who maybe historically and not even that long ago were with the party when it came to pocketbook issues and wages and good jobs and protections and that kind of stuff, but who leaned a little more to the right, or at least were kind of moderate on some of these culture issues. And they started to get a sense over time that the party really just catered to more the cultural sensibilities of their new base, which is less working class and more professional class, more college educated, urban dwelling, and really didn't have time very much for people whose attitudes didn't reflect that. And so, now they've kind of had a little bit of a ceiling on how far their support can extend. And until they address that, which is kind of an elephant in the room in some ways for them, it's going to be hard to win in some of these swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, to win back some of these working class voters who were with them not that long ago.
I mean, I got to get your reaction to this in terms of whether or not you think that there is real insight here. Like there's nothing you can say that is too over the top in opposition to President Trump, and that's how that party is going to butter their bread come the midterms and beyond, or that this is vastly overplaying your hand. I mean, this is not just some somebody posting a rant on TikTok. Elliot Forhan is a Yale-educated attorney. He is a state legislator, or was a state legislator in Ohio. He's running for attorney general in the state of Ohio. If you thought Jay Jones was over the top, he's running for attorney general in Ohio. That's not a red state. I mean, excuse me, that's not a blue state. That's a red state. Yale-educated attorney. And this is what he is choosing to do to brand his candidacy.
Hi, this is Elliot Forhan, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment. That is what I mean when I say that I'm going to kill Donald Trump.
I mean, that would make Jack Smith blush.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't really know who this guy is. I would be curious to know. There's some part of me that thinks this is somebody who is trying to gain attention and is going for shock value. I think that's pretty much just a disqualifying thing to say. Your question about the midterms and how what might be too far, what might backfire on the Democrats. Midterm elections are always a strange thing to figure out. I think a lot of times it's just a matter of getting your base out to vote, which I think in the big picture might work for Democrats. They're people who are kind of fired up, want to get out and cast a vote against Trump. In a place like Ohio, I think that's probably not going to fly. I think, if your goal is to win a state that leans against your party, I think the last thing that you want to be doing is going out and throwing bombs like that and saying things that are so over the top. I would put a lot of money down to say that this guy will not win that election.
Right, but I mean, it's just like what is you try to say what is the motivation here? What are they thinking politically? Because this is a decision that was made by someone who is apparently in legitimate Dem Party politics in that state. But I mean, you're seeing more of this now too. Larry Krasner, the Philadelphia DA, is casting himself as a Nazi hunter. We're going to go after all these people. Mm-hmm. We're going to prosecute them. I mean, he literally is making that explicit comparison. And so there's got to be something, at least within the more radical element, which is a pretty significant portion of that party, it seems, that says that you cannot be too over the top when it comes to Trump and basically this administration in your criticism. The more over the top, the better in terms of, as you said, whipping the base for the midterms, and then we'll figure out how we're going to reposition ourselves after we get control of the House and Senate, I guess is the thought.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I kind of see it is it's just sort of rank tribalism, and this isn't exclusive to the Democrats, but I think in this case, number one, they see themselves kind of as joining in solidarity as a bulwark against Trump. And so when you put yourself in that place, you start to become a little bit more willing to excuse bad behavior on your own side. And you also then kind of by extension start to see the absolute worst in your opponents. And, look, I mean, there are a lot of things that Trump has done that I think if you're a Democrat, you can reasonably say, I reject that or I'm opposed to that. But I think at some point, if you're not careful, that can tip into, frankly, a credible charge of what people sort of refer to as Trump derangement syndrome, where, he's a Nazi or, anybody who supports him is a fascist. And, I think people, you spend enough time among people who only think like you, and this is sort of the point of the piece that I wrote, you start to just see the absolute worst version of people on the other side. And you can even risk that bleeding into just dehumanizing people on the other side. And that's not healthy. And I think it leads to people saying, yeah, you know what, whatever. People on my side, they may have said something bad, but, the other side is worse. And none of this leads anywhere healthy or productive.
I mean, I'm not a particular fan of this guy, to say the least. And I find him to be completely transactional. But is Rahm Emanuel, is he the guy who is understanding what the landscape really provides for when he is trying to get the party to move beyond just being not Trump?
Mm-hmm. I think he's a pretty shrewd observer of the Democrats and sort of politics more broadly. I know I'm sure people in Chicago have a lot of opinions on him, but
yes.
I know he has he's very much, I think, trying to kind of come at the Democrats from a similar place that Liberal Patriot and some others are, which is to get them to realize, hey, we need something positive to offer up. We need a proactive agenda. We need to sort of curb the excesses of our party. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to appeal as broadly to people in the middle of the country, to people in these states that we have to win in order to win the Senate, to win the Electoral College, which is shifting even further away from the Democrats as population trends change. And he's one of the few who's willing to speak up and really say these things. But I think it seems like that might be falling on deaf ears right now, which is a shame.
Michael Baharine is the chief political analyst at the Liberal Patriot. Also, you can get his writings at Michael Baharine at .substack.com. Michael, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Dan.
And he joins us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
I can't believe how much better Dad's doing since we brought on Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest.
I know. He's more engaged, more himself. It makes such a difference having him right here at home. Around the photos, his old record player, his favorite recliner, all the little things he knows. That familiarity really matters with dementia.
And their caregivers, they're just incredible. They treat him with so much patience and respect.
Plus, they helped us tap into a Medicare program that offers 80 hours of respite care for Alzheimer's and dementia.
We're not worried anymore, and Dad gets to stay where he's happiest, at home.
Trust the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, serving Cook, DuPage, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. You can call them 24/7 at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus.
I give up. Where are they?
Who?
Hassellus Mattress employees.
Hassellus Mattress showrooms really are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Don't believe it.
You won't believe our prices either. Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more for way less. Free next-day delivery, too.
Sure. Next you'll say I can get a free adjustable base with my purchase through Monday.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Oh, come on!
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
Don't risk losing the news, sports, and weather that AM radio delivers. When cell and internet service fail, AM is your lifeline. With time running out, your voice matters. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress vote yes on the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for Townhall.com. Spontaneous nationwide protests have erupted across the repressive Islamist theocracy of Iran. Ordinary Iranians are demanding not only economic relief, but an end to the Islamic Republic itself. This is the largest popular uprising Iran has seen in nearly 2 decades, and the regime is responding with brutal force. Security services are trying to crush dissent through terror. The human toll is staggering. In just weeks, the regime's crackdown has caused more civilian deaths than 2 years of fighting in Gaza. Yet legacy media has remained largely silent, with a few notable exceptions. Iran is home to a rich culture and a proud history. America and President Trump are watching closely. The USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft is in the region. God willing, this time the Iranian people, perhaps with our help, will throw off their oppressors and reclaim a free and hopeful future.
AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, that's a wrap for this Wednesday. Good show. Great calls on the many and varied topics we discussed. This West Chicago, that West Chicago mayor, this West Chicago teacher thing. We got to be all over this, particularly in the context, as we talked about with Tom Weitzel, of the case of our friend and former Cook County Judge Jimmy Brown. We're going to be staying on these topics, like back tomorrow. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He's playing with fire. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump posted about Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey on Truth Social, reacting to the Democrat statement that his city will not enforce federal immigration law. The mayor just replied with a post of his own, saying the job of police is to make people feel safe.